The Group Pub Podcast, the biggest names on the Overwatch sphere duking it out in the arena of debate on the big stage. Well, it should be, but to my taste, people tend to spend too much time shaking hands with each other. Since this thing does have the word debate on the tin, I can't think of a better way to spend a Friday than unwantedly inserting myself into a conversation and yelling at everyone with certified spicy hot takes. Today we'll cover Overwatch's current performance level, its trajectory in the grand scheme of gaming, and its onboarding hurdles with their comparison to competitors such as rivals. Please enjoy my spirit journey into anger and disbelief.
Yeah, we sit here and we're like, yeah, format's not the issue. I know for a fact it's not the issue. I'm 100% on board. But like, I can't help but have that feeling every time I come back and I play it for a little while.
What the fuck are you on about, Flats? Of course it's a fucking issue. You don't like playing tank in 5v5. You already said that 100 times. You don't like playing tank in Overwatch. You used to like it, now you don't. There's something changed, and that change is a bad change.
It's sad because I think Overwatch is the best it's ever been, you know?
What do you mean it's the best it's ever been? What does that mean? You don't like the video game. You don't enjoy Overwatch. What are you talking about? I mean, you say, oh, I fucking hate this game. I hate playing tank in this game. Only supporting DPS are fun. It's the best it's ever been. There's no problems with the format. We have no issues.
But I can't, how do you ignore that feeling?
You don't ignore the feeling. You ask for them to change things that make that feeling.
Your general assessment, and just to make it even more interesting, I'm going to peg you to a rating out of 10.
Jingling keys is necessary to start with. It is fine to jingle keys at a player base. It is necessary to jingle keys at a player base. I don't have a problem with that in and of itself, but they've been doing a fucking lot of it recently. And every single time you jingle the keys, you do take something away from the video game. I think, for instance, perks are a regression on the game that make the game worse. I think that's a bad move. I think Stadium is a really good jingle, but it's not really good for the majority of players. I don't think that many people are like, wow, Stadium's completely revolutionized the game now. Whereas quite a lot of people thought that at the time. And it's also taking a lot of development resources at the same time. Stadium's just not for me in general. I think there's a whole host of completely degenerate, uninteractive bullshit in that game mode that shouldn't be in the game to begin with, and the game is less for including that, in the same way that the game is less for including perks that make characters uninteractive. I think this Season 9 higher health pools, DPS passive, has drastically reduced my enjoyment of both 6v6 and 5v5. There is just so much less texture in healing modes. There's so much less you can do on DPS. You have to be so bursty in the types of stuff you can do. I think it's fine for tank for the most part, but you still have to be a little bit more passive and a little bit more committal to the types of things you do in tank. I think that for 5v5, tanks have necessarily had to become a lot more lethal, and that's definitely reduced the amount of joy that I have in the game, because they're going to fucking knife you from across the map and insta-kill you. Oh yes, 6v6 completely dumpstered by the fact that their balancing was to just add a couple of seconds of cooldown to all of the AoE abilities, right? So out of 10, that's a whole host of things that I think I can fully argue and rationalize out, right? I think all of those things are very reasonable in my mind. So given that their development direction tends to be, I'd say, about 50 degrees to the side of what I want, I'm gonna say about a 4. Right? I think that most of the Overwatch is doing amazing right now is just hype posting and controversy posting. I think Overwatch always has been amazing, and they have to go out of their way to make it bad. I think they're nearing going out of their way to make it bad right now. And thank God the game's really good, right? Thank God I love the game. You can't release a mode then not patch it for 4.5 seasons, right? And then just be like, well, play Overwatch your way. It just doesn't work like that. So specifically for me, we're talking about 6v6, right? I'd say right now they're at 2. Right, they're actively making it worse. Luckily, everything tends to work out better in 6v6 than it does in 5v5, because 5v5 is a lot more limiting on design space for any hero design. So quite a lot of the problems in 5v5 that they introduce because they're stupid kind of like get rounded off. That there's a lot more generalists in the mode. I think that's boring. I think Blizzard has in general optimized for the opposite of what the player base actually liked about Overwatch 1. The thing that people liked about Overwatch 1 was optimizing for good King's Row experiences. Everyone fucking likes King's Row because that's the type of Overwatch that for the most part people tend to like. And Blizzard was like, well, instead of that, do you know what you could have, right? You could have Atlas with routes everywhere, flanks everywhere, no stability whatsoever to your team comp. Everyone has to play some sort of dive or fast comp in order to be able to really do anything there. I don't think the direction is all over the place. I think the direction is in a straight line towards 5v5, and they throw us a bone with very little dev time for 6v6. I think that's the honest truth. I don't mind Atlas. It's just one of the... it's peak Overwatch 2 design. Right, that's really what it is in terms of map design. It's peak Overwatch 2 design. That's the basis of what they've been working towards since they launched. And I think King's Row is the peak of 6v6 design. So yeah, I think it's about 2 for 6v6. I think it's about 4 overall because they're detracting from 5v5 in quite a few different ways. I also don't think that quite a few of the things that they've done for 5v5, like ridiculous lethality for tanks, is interesting in that mode either. I think tanks should control space, so yeah, that's where I'm at. I think that's fairly reasonable. I think the fact that I list off the things means that I'm not just dumpstering the game. I have reasoning for all of this. I have a lot of different things that I have opinions on that lead me in this direction. About a 4 and a 2 for 6v6 is the answer. So I literally had a friend message me, and he used to be like a big Overwatch guy. He streamed it for a little bit. Like, he was really into the game. I think it was in Masters back in like Overwatch 2018 kind of like time. Quit for Overwatch 2 and haven't really been back to the game very much, but he like fringes at the edges of the community, if you get what I mean. He messaged me the other day, and do you know what he said? Have you seen that State of Overwatch thing? Man, I can't watch that. They keep fucking talking over each other. Can they not fucking talk over each other for 1 point challenge? Was his exact quote. So I'm excited. They actually disagree on something? Impossible. On whose side are we rooting for? I don't think there's sides here, are there? I mean, Flats doesn't play Overwatch, or if he does play Overwatch, it's only like whoever manages him as a gun to the back of his head, like, play Overwatch, so he can make money. So Flats doesn't play the video game anymore, and is the most burned out human I've ever seen of all time, right? Avril is, SVB doesn't play Overwatch. And Spylo's the only one that plays the game. I think Avril plays the game, don't get me wrong. So it's going to be interesting. So we have all the sides of the Overwatch community, really. We have SVB with the X Overwatch, Flat with the hates Overwatch, despite the fact that he claims he doesn't. Will they agree on everything? I don't know. That's what we're going to find out very soon. Thank you for the tier 1. We've got Avril, who has opinions. Yep, we got Avril, who has opinions. Can I do anything with my lighting? I think my lighting's just buggered. I think this is just what we're going to have to deal with. And we've got Spylo, who is my boyfriend. Have you noticed that every time I talk to Spylo, I always end the conversation with, love you. And he does that little cute blush. One of these days, he's going to say it back, right? SVB has a wild take on hero bans. Spylo and Avril argue and the other two agree. Ooh, I heard Avril is especially bad in this video. Well, Avril loves me, as we all know. For anyone that is out of the loop, I'll bring up the clip.
Then that just means he's got a bad character. Or maybe he's stupid and I feel bad. It is what it is sometimes. Some people are just not very smart. So either he's just like, he's not very intelligent, he didn't understand, or he does understand and he's just trying extremely hard to make me look bad, which means he's a piece of shit. So I don't know. Don't have a lot of respect for that.
So that's Avril's opinion on me. Safe to say he doesn't like me very much. Don't know what I did to him, but it's safe to say that he's not a fan. We'll see if we can burn some more bridges. Yeah, we'll see if we can burn some more today, because I'm sure Avril has some takes, and Avril certainly doesn't like being called out on his takes. So yeah, throw him in the harem. Yeah, you see that the thing is, I'm happy to throw anyone in the harem. It just seems he doesn't want to, right? It seems like he's resistant to the harem. Like he doesn't treat me criticizing him as a proposal of love. Let's fucking go. We've got a lot to get through today, so I think we just start off now. World War II style bridge destruction has and will occur. Instead of destroying the bridges, we have to destroy the walls between our love. Okay, let's go.
We're back after a 100-odd day hiatus, and we're here with a special
We're saying 1.25 times speed, okay?
spicy episode, the state of Overwatch debates. Hopefully it'll be worth the wait for the debate, as I brought the titans of gaming with me to discuss all things Overwatch 9-year plus anniversary. Let me introduce my guest who need no introduction. In the bottom right from his new home is my man Flats. Flats, what's up?
What's up?
New location, same Flats. In the bottom left, always shifting his location when he comes on call. Describe this time what you got for the audio listeners in the bottom left, Coach Spilo.
It's just a frame from the Wu Yong Hero trailer where they're all just a little bit overwhelmed with the excitement of having a new support character in the game Overwatch 2 by Blizzard Entertainment. And so the reaction is to look surprised. And so I figured that was...
They knew exactly what they were doing when they did that frame.
Exciting. I'll also the hair kind of lines up accidentally as well, which works out. So yeah, just a really thrilling background from Blizzard Entertainment.
Yeah, don't see Sam. Yeah, well, it's meant to be people that enjoy the game, such as person that doesn't play the game, person that doesn't play the game, right? So Sam couldn't possibly come on here.
You made that sound like the most paid shill version of that you could possibly do. Like you name drop Blizzard.
Yeah,
as
I'm
many
warming
times
up
you
in my role in this
It's a new
podcast.
benefits
So.
package over there. What's going on? Hang on.
No, I can neither confirm nor deny the said benefits package. In fact, I'd like you to clarify what you mean by benefits package, because obviously that's a very vague term. So, you know.
New creator program is just like every time he mentions the word Overwatch on the stream, it's like 50 bucks,
Yeah.
50 bucks, 50 bucks. Just like drops it in. All right. Well, one person we know is a guaranteed.
I'll
paid shill
leave
for
I'll
Overwatch.
leave them to
He's-
do their intros. Sure, they can talk through their intros. There won't be anything interesting in here for like 10
in the
minutes.
top
probably.
left. Avril, what's up?
Yeah, I was gonna say, no matter what Spilo does, what background he puts on, I'm sure the Samito fans will come after me the hardest. Look, if I got paid $50 per Overwatch mention, that'd be the only word I'd ever said ever again. I wouldn't say anything.
He's already you see this right here? He's already othering people, right? Like that one there. Oh, these fans will come out. All right, Avril. Okay, I see the rhetorical devices happening here. Yeah, you can't fool me.
The other word ever again.
Turn
the
into
rest
like a
of my life.
Pokemon.
Already
Just be a
offensive.
Poke-
Oh, they're gonna hate my opinions. Actually, Samito lives rent free.
I
You'd still-
would be. Yeah, and I would just cash in. I would just keep going until like my voice broke out, until my lungs stopped
Yeah.
working. I would just cash in
You'd
as
still
much
find a way to
as
cry
50
about
bucks.
push, though. You'd cry about push, though, and you'd find a way to bring in like the glass box solution, right? Break in case of emergency. Those
Well,
are
we
the
know
two
you like
things
glasses, so you know that's good.
Yeah.
as I'm aware.
True, you think this is one area where you two unite in the shattering of glasses is one area you guys have in common. So
Hey man, Colosseo is a pretty decent map nowadays, so
Wow.
that's all I'm saying.
I
nice.
still don't like it. I think it's okay in 66. The transition from midpoint to the high ground, I think is already like awkward now.
That isn't an indicator of how far along Overwatch
I
has come.
actually think that the glass was more healthy for 6v6. Honestly, that's my crazy opinion.
Then I don't know what is, because yeah, that's a whole new
Yeah.
era.
Listen, this guy's already shitting for Overwatch. He's already saying Colosseo is good. Listen to this guy. I'll give you $50 right now. That was a good one.
Thank you.
All right, well, as you've already alluded to, there's a lot to discuss here, so let's not waste any time. As always, we like to start with the general feelings on this podcast. So I'm going to go around. I'm going to ask you guys your general assessment, and just to make it even more interesting, I'm going to peg you to a rating out of 10.
I feel like I should go last because I have a very different perspective
Okay,
these days.
okay, sure, that
If
makes
possible.
sense. That makes sense. We got a good spin into this. So actually, we'll go reverse. Avril, you go first.
What's the pay scale between 1 and 10?
Nimbani is the peak of 6v6. Nimbani's quite similar to King's Road, to be fair. I don't think Nimbani's bad. Nimbani is actually a good 6v6 map. I know people don't like the high ground focus, but in order to have texture in your video game, you do actually need to have a high variance, and Nimbani is one of those high variance modes. So I think Nimbani is healthy for the game, even if it isn't the peak of the game, if you get what I mean.
For every number
That's
over
an
5, it's
important
another
definition.
$75.
Yeah. So what? Like 10 is perfect. 1 is garbage. I would be pretty good with.
Balancing the money versus
I think
integrity right now.
I think a 7.5 is pretty warranted. I think it's halfway there. Because
And for the record, I don't think Blizzard has ever got over a 6. Does anyone else think Blizzard ever got over a 6? I mean, it's always been under a 6, right? And it's been under a 6 in terms of like, sure, like I have a lot of demands and they're gonna accidentally not hit some of them, but realistically, they've always been fucking up since the beginning. They're lucky that they have an amazing core of the video game.
is like the game. Every season, in my opinion, has been an improvement. It has been like we've only gotten more content, better content, more attention.
More content. The content is useless. I don't care about the content. The content actively takes away my enjoyment of the video game. In terms of perks, in terms of stadium, it's useless. It does nothing for me. So it hasn't done anything.
To detail in terms of what people are asking for, generally speaking.
Assume he's talking
Of course,
about
there are
season
going
9.
to be a lot of people asking for different things, and you can't do everything. But we've come a long way since the 5v5 versus 6v6 days, and now it's like, well, we can just have both, right? So what's the problem?
Yeah, we can have both, and then you completely fucking ignore 6v6 so that nobody wants to play it because they don't consider it a legitimate game mode because Blizzard clearly does not consider it a legitimate game mode.
And I think both are pretty decent.
Pretty
Some-
decent. They haven't patched it in 4.5 seasons, my dude. Like, come on. Like,
People will say they still want the game pre-season 9. I prefer the game post-season 9.
Yep, but you don't have any arguments for that, I'm sure. Please. Point of order. Does Avril in this ever actually reason why he likes... have you ever heard Avril reason why he likes post-season 9? I guess is the question. I don't think I've ever heard him say... I hope he does it at some point here.
I think the game has been better since then. I
This
think
is just summaries of
most
each
of the discussion that we've had post-season 9 pretty much all of us have agreed that post season 9 has been an improvement to the game. We're talking specifically about like
I don't think people have. I don't consider that to be true. I don't think even Flats or Spilo is gonna agree with that in a general sense. I think season 9 has been a mixed bag, I think is what they'd say as a start. Nobody agrees that it's been an improvement. That's just not true.
projectile size changes. Stadium has made the game better, in my opinion.
Projectile size changes, sure. I think the projectile size changes was the good part of the mixed bag, personally, for me. I don't have a problem with the projectile size changes, specifically because Overwatch is already hard as nails in terms of the movement system. So, yeah.
Then we get stuff like map voting coming in now.
I respect the take of I personally just prefer it, but in podcasts, the word debating it, you have to give more than that. Oh, he's giving summaries, though, so hopefully he gives more later, though.
Most of the new heroes
We're on 1.25 times speed, and I will continue to be, because it's a 3-hour fucking podcast, and I'm going to get through all of it today.
through have been pretty decently designed. Nothing has felt really dumb or stupid or terribly broken or like just really dumb in general. I think some people may assume that Hazard was like too good to start with, but actually, when I remember correctly, Hazard took a while for people to pick up. Like people were not hard spamming that hero and carrying with it for a while, and then he got nerfed anyway, and then people assumed the nerf wasn't big enough, and then our first thoughts is generally pretty fine. And I'm just liking the direction of the game. We're going to get some decent more features back, stuff like
yeah, Hazard is just bad. I don't think I enjoy Hazard in any way, shape, or form. I think Hazard is peak Overwatch 2 tank design. And when I say peak, I mean what they're aiming for, which is absolute shit. So
the end of game title cards and stuff like that. The little upvote cards supposed to come back at some point as well. So yeah, I think the game's in a good spot. We got a lot more to look forward to. Is it a perfect game? No, but it's in a good spot.
Yeah, you already brought up a lot of things. We'll get into the nitty gritties of the various points of this. And I think for this call, because the podcast has been on a break for a while, I've been out of touch for a while. So we're going to try and keep this accessible to everyone. So whether you're still hard grinding Overwatch, or whether you're like me, who's a little bit far removed, or you're like someone in the middle who's like maybe played this a little bit of Overwatch, or maybe just wants to know what it's like, whether they should come back or not, or they're just like, just nosy. They just want to see what's happening over there. Like they used to play Overwatch. They're like, I just want to know what's happening. So we're going to try and be clear about like, okay, so this is what they did, by the way, and this is what the community said about it. So on that note, Spilo, we'll head over to you.
All right, I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10, and 8 out of 10, and I'm gonna be specific.
Shell.
Specific. All right, so it's things that are good. There's been a lot of system experimentation. That's the hero bans. That's the map bans.
I think both of those things are bad. I think hero bans are bad for my experience of the video game. I think map bans, I think map voting is fine. Honestly, I don't really have a problem with map voting. I think it's a lot less obtrusive than hero bans. I absolutely despise the experience of wanting to click a hero and not being able to click it, because I've tabbed out for the first minute of a match and not even realized it's been banned. Because why would I sit there staring at a screen for that entire time? It's added a lot of time to the load into the game. It hasn't really improved the game in a massive way. Realistically, it's already allowed Blizzard to balance around the fact that bans exist. And I think that's sucks in general. I think that they should actually balance the fucking game instead of saying, oh, well, you can just ban it if it becomes oppressive. No, just do your job, right? Like, that's not fine.
Speaking to people that don't like those aspects, and there are definitely some pretty clear negatives to those systems, but overall I think largely have been positive for the vast majority of the player base. And
I don't think that's true. I think the vast majority of player base, it's a hard one. Just the vast majority of the player base really likes the fact that they have some choice over their experience. That doesn't mean that it is good for them in the long run, or it is a positive thing for their average experience in the long run. They might feel like it's a positive thing for their experience, but I don't think that really necessarily checks out with reality in the long run, especially with having specific characters banned that they want to play, especially with Blizzard not fixing certain things. I think sure, it can be considered a mixed bag. I don't consider hero bans to be universally negative. I think them experimenting with the systems, if the systems are bad, doesn't count as a positive for me in my mind.
More importantly, have showcased a willingness to take risks and try new things. And honestly, I've been really enjoying them.
I don't like risks or new things. No, I like them to make a good product, right? You can add a load of systems that are absolute crap onto a product and say, whoa, we've done loads of things, but who cares?
Downsides, we won't get into that right now. Hero design's been strong. I think every new hero, whether OP, underpowered, they've been unique, they've been strong.
Every new hero has been unique, been strong. Obviously, the hero design Overwatch is exceptional, as per always. But the way that they've been crafted, I think Juno was really good, but Juno's completely warped the game in terms of the amount of speed that's been put into the game. I think Hazard is bad. I think Freya is, for the most part, bad or ill-conceived in a number of different ways, and they're definitely not intending to fix them in any way, shape, or form. I mean, we can go down the list. We can go down the Malga and Lifeweaver kind of like route. Nobody wants to talk about that, obviously. If we're only talking about the last like year or so, I think their hero releases for the most part have been I mean, Venture, Juno, Freya, it's not it's not what I consider to be peak Overwatch, these characters, right? Like, and maybe I'm just being a curmudgeon because I want the characters to be not Overwatch 2 designs, not overly generalist, so you can't have so you can't have problems with the kit. Something that I hate about perks is you literally need to relearn every hero that had a perk changes anytime they release perk changes. Yeah, 100%. It's really bad from my experience of the video game. Hog OTPs banning Ana is the worst. Yeah, like it creates a lot more sharp interactions in 5v5, and you know the funniest thing, I think that's necessary because those sharp interactions are part of the video game and they do make the video game better. So 6v6 we have all those sharp interactions because like you can create more sharp or more focused comps. In 5v5 they have to design that in. It's so, oh god, yeah. Anyway,
they've been creative. They've not just been homogenous, boring, same thing, one-trick ponies. They've been very creative, very clever. And
creative, clever, homogenous, boring, one-trick ponies. I mean, Freya's one-trick pony. Like, it's fine to have one-trick ponies. I don't. Just because they're skill-based, it doesn't bring me joy. If they expand the design space of the video game, that brings me joy. Freya being able to go up, cool. That's a little expansion of the design space. The rest of Freya's kit, I can take or leave it. It's the new hero. I'm gonna be honest. The only thing that I care about the new hero for is literally the orb being able to curve. The rest of the kit I can take or leave. I don't know if anyone else. It's been a day since release. It's been like 9 hours. Anyone else disagree? Right? The orb is cool. The rest is fine. It's fine. Hasn't really expanded anything. They just made another more or less generalist hero there. And I don't consider that to be a good thing, right? Don't know a thing about the new hero, yeah. Juno OTPs, yeah, I think Juno's. I said in my recent video, Juno is one of the heroes that I think is the most cohesive in terms of their design that they've ever released. But then again, Juno's probably the only character that's not exclusive generalist slop. Hazard is bad. Freya is badish. I don't know. I want an expansion of the design space. It shouldn't be that hard to do, but they keep releasing heroes that more or less flesh out or go into a place where they've already designed and do like a little twist on that instead of saying, well, we're going to do something over here. But yeah, but like, it's hard. Like, I don't think they've been great.
In a typical Overwatch style, I think starting with Venture, we've had really 4 interesting hero designs in a row. I got to play test Wuyong several months ago and before that, and got to play only 1 game today, but his kit is fun. I don't know if he's going to be underpowered or weak or whatever. He's just different and unique, and it's a cool idea. I think
they tried to do something like that with Hazard's wall. Yeah, but they didn't center the hero around the wall, right? They made an idea and they were like, oh, we can have this cool idea. And then that idea was like 20% of the hero, right? I'm gonna go back down to normal speed because actually, you know what? I can do 1.1. That's probably more reasonable. Spoiler is yapping extra faster.
Obviously we have 5v5 and 6v6. That's part of the bad things. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
If he's saying that's part of the bad thing because of the bloat in the amount of modes and the worst queues in all of the modes because of it, I kind of agree. I don't know what he's talking about there.
Perks have overall been really good. They've been awesome, really fun. I think we'll talk more about some of my bad problems with perks later, but overall have been a pretty fun aspect of the game that have opened up a lot of variety. And I think Stadium has obviously been like a huge positive. Like, I'm not much of a Stadium guy myself, but there is a huge percentage of the player base that is obsessed with Stadium, and rightfully so. It's freaking weird, but there's so many things that you can do with Stadium that you can't do in the base game. Like, it just opens up so many playstyle options and so many varieties, and even introducing some new approaches to things that Overwatch never really would have been able to do. And then in terms of just like the raw basic content stuff, yeah, it's not Marvel Rivals. It's never going to be Marvel Rivals, of course, but there's been a steady stream of interesting new things, some cool collabs. I'm not much of a skin guy myself, but you know, like, there's been a lot of new things coming out that if you're just even a casual enjoyer of the game, that are definitely worth getting into. And then also we have public stats coming out now. So we're going to have win rates, pick rates, all that kind of stuff. I really feel like a shill right now. Holy crap. But like, these are things that I've been asked.
The stats are good. I'm happy about the stats. I consider that to be universally positive, right? I don't consider that to be negative in any way.
For years, right? Like, we, not just me, but all of us, I think, here have been
played a decent amount of Stadium recently for XP, and I can't say it doesn't seem like there's a huge player base. What is Stadium's player base at the moment? Is it still really high? I haven't heard anything about that. It might be a symptom of the fact that there's 15 different game modes in Overwatch and the entire player base is split between them. Might be that. The only really healthy enough player base in any of the modes in Overwatch, I'd say, is quick play 5v5 and quick play and comps 5v5. The other ones genuinely don't have enough of a player base to really sustain competitive matchmaking. Gave me a reason to hate casuals even more. Okay, I'd be fine with Stadium if the balance team didn't just forget about the other modes to make changes for it. The other modes were hurt by Stadium because there aren't enough resources to balance 5v5 and 6v6, which is such a funny thing because I consider balance patches for 5v5 and 6v6 to be a guy's job. It's so funny, man. You could just hire a guy, right? You could just actually hire Didact and have a meeting with him once every 2 weeks, and he'd just do that. So I always consider it's funny when they abandon a mode and the modes are like 20% of the player base, and the answer is, well, we just don't have the resources. Like, how do you not have the resources? It's just a guy, right? Like, it's somebody's job just to do that. Like, if you just hired one person for the balance of every single one of your modes, you're on a 10-man team at the most. I don't know where all the bureaucracy goes there.
Asking for, but like public win rates, public pick rates. We're not only going to get that, but Gavin Winter, who's one of the developers, has put a lot of time into in-game statistics. So you're going to be able to see how much damage does this do, how much healing, how long does it last, like all the stuff that should have been accessible really from the get-go that Overwatch has been terrible with. They're actually doing those things now. So it's like
I don't know about anyone else, but I don't consider that matters too much. I'm fine with the descriptions being completely useless and just be like for the person picking up the player in the game and then forcing them to go to Gamepedia in order to get the rest of the information. I don't really mind. It's not really relevant to people until they played the hero for a reasonable amount of time. The rest of it is just kind of like feeling, and I feel like you get the feeling fine. So I don't think the advanced statistics and stuff like that really adds that much to the game for me. I do think the stats about matches and pick rates and stuff like that is very good from my perspective. Obviously, I really enjoy being able to have access to that when they release it. But in terms of like, yeah, the how to play a hero screens, I don't think it's necessary.
All of these systems, all of these things are going well. Now, in terms of the negative, we got a couple of things. I don't think they've been as clear or as consistent with perk quality, which we won't go into the details, but I think some of the perks have been really strong, and honestly it's been power creep, right? There's definitely been kind of an idea that initially
an obscene amount of power creep in uninteractive ways or ways that force the game to be worse.
The intention was to provide more choice without really incentivizing just raw power creep. But I think we're kind of at a point now where it really is just power creep. So that's not necessarily always a bad thing.
You can stay
it is something that we're going to have to kind of keep an eye on. Obviously, some perks, not all perks are created alike. So
you can have a little kiss.
Is going to rework a lot of those perks, but I don't know if they're going to fix all the quote unquote terrible ones. Like, for example, I hate the May perks. I think the May perks are actively toxic for the character, and I want all of them gone. And so there's certain characters that just don't have good perks, and they need to be. And then the 5v5 66 thing. So I think
the reason why the May perks are like that because they'd already made them. Let's be honest, they'd already made them for PvE, and they'd already made them for the previous version of May. So like, oh, we can put the freeze back in, and it's like, oh, okay, didn't you remove that for a reason? Nah, it's fine. We should lock it behind a major perk. It's fine, whatever. Yeah, come on.
I'm now where it feels like we've kind of like, all right, we've given the 66 or 66. Great, now go play 66. But I think one of the very fair criticisms from a lot of the 66 crowd is that 66, I think part of the balance design of the 66 was a little bit awkward. Like, I think they had this concept of like, we need to make tank cooldown cycles really long.
What a fucking man, go to bat for me. I love it. I love my boyfriend.
And I think that's wrong. And I think that makes the game mode actively worse. I think they need to be keeping 66 cycles at a reasonable rate. And then really just even bigger picture than that, 66 really doesn't get any balance patches or no attention at all. And there's like a lot of like low-hanging fruit of some things that they could do to make that game mode a little bit more interesting. Even just like a developer spends an afternoon just like playing 66 and experimenting and looking at pick rates or win rates. Just I'm not saying it's like
or you could hire Didact. I mean, like, that's an option
to do this stuff. But I think even though it's definitely a minority of the player base right now, it doesn't really get any development time at all. And I think it deserves a little bit. I think that it's kind of it deserves a little bit more than that. I'm definitely a guy that enjoys 5v5 more, just based off the positioning side of things. But I mean, it doesn't get enough attention as it deserves. So yeah, we'll see how the perk design goes. We'll see how the 60.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable thing for Spider to say, like enjoying it based on the positioning side of things. I think that's really the bedrock when it comes down to it, right? I enjoy people having to fight for their position against reasonable odds of fighting for their position against tanks, right? I enjoyed that. Spilo enjoys getting free positioning and being able to use it. I think that the 5v5 game mode is a lot better for competitive at the high ranks because at the low ranks, basically what happens is in 5v5 you just have things coming at you from all sides, and that kind of sucks for low rank players. They don't really enjoy that for the most part. In 6v6 you have those angles controlled, and like obviously at the high rank people are going to enjoy having that space to play around with as opposed to fighting for that space, especially because quite a lot of the high rank type of players are more duelist type players. They're people that enjoy that type of stuff, whereas I don't think low rank players necessarily do as much.
5v5 thing goes, there's definitely some balance mistakes. Like right now there's a huge armor bug that's like really toxic,
I
but
heard about
I'm
this.
pretty sure it's getting fixed in season 18. Yeah, but they didn't hot fix anything to do in relation to it. So even though it's like not really that disruptive, it's like this like
it's very disruptive. It's it's pretty damn disruptive.
exception that's really weird. Anyway, but honestly, mostly positive. I think it's like
And I don't think it's necessarily Blizzard's fault. Like, nobody realized this for months, and Blizzard is a team of people that are working on a game that was half updated into a new video game, then gone back and had to like scramble together to make Overwatch 2 as a video game. Then half of them got fired, and then a new team came back in. So the code must be absolutely screwed right now. I fully understand this like I get it, right? Your code is not smooth. I get it. You move a butterfly's wing in Paris and there's a hurricane in New York. It just happens, right?
see my personal. I mean, I think we're in like the best state Overwatch has been personally.
Ever?
It's difficult because we're always comparing against other bad states of Overwatch. I think October Patch is significantly better in all regards. Obviously, there's a lot of things from live that are side grades or better in certain regards, but they don't override the general gameplay. I don't think the gameplay is engaging in Overwatch right now. I don't enjoy the general moment to moment. I don't think it's that good. I don't know. I don't think it's in the best state ever. I think it's kind of like I think the current game mode is like 60% as good as the October Patch in terms of my average gameplay experience, right?
Yeah. I mean, minus the novelty, right? Like it's a new game, right? It's
Right.
exciting. It's like a cultural phenomenon. But like in terms of like from like a balance of how old the game is with how much new content and how balanced the game is, it's probably the best state it's ever been, I think.
It's the greatest amount of content we've ever had. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm-
And I don't
Yeah, but the content doesn't do anything for me. It's just bad content, or it's something that doesn't interest me. So
think we really have it. I don't think we have, sorry to interrupt, but we don't have
No,
like
no.
a really wildly broken hero here. Even like Ramatra, who's benefiting like a lot from this block bug, isn't like dominating ranked at all levels. So it's like he's really annoying, and that's like the worst hero that we have right now. Like everything else is just kind of like there's overpowered and underpowered characters, but it's like it's a pretty good spot right now.
I don't think basically any of the tanks are healthy in 5v5. I just don't enjoy this type of gameplay. And that plays over into 6v6. And I think that's a core problem that I can't get around with the video game. People enjoy tanks being big DPS, apparently. I don't know why. It's not fun for the DPS. It's not really fun for the sports, and it's not really fun for me as a tank player. Because I don't want to be the front of everything in the fucking video game. I don't want that. I don't want to be the hunter searching for the survivors. Yeah, it's so non-uniform in terms of the way gameplay works, right?
All things considered.
Right now, easily over 50% of the heroes are not in a healthy spot, but I'm a balanced elitist. I don't think it's balanced. I think it's more design problems they've caused for the most part. I think it's relatively balanced in terms of one being better than the other. But there's a load of issues in the game that make them, or their average gameplay loops really fucking boring for me.
Okay, well, this is where I hope some debate, quote unquote, will begin, because
Sure.
I'm gonna in a second I'm gonna tee it up to Flats, and I'm genuinely curious. I don't know what his rating is, where his thoughts are, but this is why I wanted to bring a slight diversity of opinion, because I think like I don't use Twitter, but I tweeted like yesterday to be like, all right, this podcast is back, just because I was like, I should probably tell people, give him like
Is Flats gonna be is Flats gonna say like he did before, I fucking hate everything about the game and it's in the best state ever? That was basically what he said a couple of months ago.
at least some notice. And some people were like, why are you inviting Flats, man? Flats hasn't played the game much in these last few days, whatever, like last few months. Like, keep people who are super dedicated to Overwatch.
And by the way, I'm fine with Flats joining. Absolutely fine. Like he played it a little bit. I don't need a completely and utterly informed opinion on this. He's a big content creator. It's good to have him on.
Like, well, you're missing the point. It's like the whole point of measuring the state of Overwatch or the state of a game is that we want different perspectives on it, right? We want people who have different relationships, different level of engagements with it. We have me completely outside looking in, just an outside spectator, someone who knows what the game is like, has no personal experience with it anymore. We have Avril and Spilo, who are hardcore into Overwatch. Avril, you do a little bit of other games, but Spilo, you kind of famously rejected Marvel Rivals to say, no, I'm going to stick with Overwatch. This is my jam. So we've got two Overwatch lovers over here, and I think we may see some of that diversity of opinion come from the fact that you guys love where the game is at. But then we have someone like Flats. Flats, you're someone who plays a bunch of games. You spend a lot of time, obviously, playing Marvel Rivals,
Stop
Overwatch's greatest
rationalizing your
direct
decision
rival.
to include him.
And so I think
I
the
just want to
perspective
hear
you're going
from
to bring is going to be invaluable because you bring the wider perspective and you're not necessarily as in the weeds. So
You must have
someone
got
who's
a lot of comments about this, right? Because he's defending that a lot.
kind of a little bit halfway between, let's say, where I am and where these guys are. Where's your stance? And does it match the poster statement from Spilo, the best state the game has ever been in? Hello, Group Up podcast listeners. SVB
You
here.
have a
Just wanted-
fucking Yap session and then you put an advert in? SVB.
It is very funny. I saw the same thing, SVB. There's this weird internet phenomena where apparently people have lost that, when
3 hours? You think I'm going to sit here for 3 hours? I've been streaming for 40 minutes, and I'm 16 minutes into this, Spilo. This is like a 6-hour session. Hey, gorgeous. How you doing? Nice to see you.
you don't see someone on a camera, they don't exist isn't actually true. So even though I don't play the game as much anymore, thinking I've just like completely lost everything that I know and like know what's happening is the most foolishly, hilariously stupidest shit I've ever seen on the planet. Because imagine how many people you think follow every piece of Overwatch content and follow everything, and they don't comment, they don't like, they don't tweet anything. Like there's thousands. You know how we know? Because I've made a career off
I'm
of
just
it.
gonna let Spider be harassed by chat there. You're fine.
So literally, it's funny to watch. Where it's like, well, you haven't been streaming, you wouldn't know.
I don't want Ralph's cooties. Well, say I love you back then, and now I won't have to kiss you.
As if like most of my closest friends aren't in this game. As if I don't still follow everyone on Twitter. As if I still don't have a YouTube feed. As if I still don't have a TikTok feed. Right? Like I just don't interact. That's it. That's as simple as it is. But I bet if you quizzed me on like the last 6 months of Overwatch stuff, I bet I could probably, other than like unique numbers, like, oh yeah, like, you know, what's hazards like individual spikes do now? Oh, I couldn't tell you that anymore. But I could probably still know like 90, 95%
God damn it! Stop. It's fine for him to be on. Stop rationalizing it. Just talk about the video game.
of it.
That SVP has a yap session of it's fine for him to be on, guys, and then Flat starts talking, and Flat's like, I still am informed about my opinions. No, just talk. Do the podcast.
Being
Damn it.
on the outside has been a bit of an interesting perspective. And you know what? I actually thought you guys went low. When you asked me, I was gonna say 8.5.
Wow.
And the reason why I was gonna say 8.5 was
Hard four.
I actually agree that it is probably in its best state it's ever been. Pause. But it's very interesting from the outside perspective.
See, Flat's perspective is so interesting because Flats fucking hates Overwatch. He is so burnt out on this video game. He is done with the video game. He wants to just play a different game. He's played fucking hundreds of thousands of hours of this game, probably. And his perspective is he doesn't really enjoy the game and he doesn't know why, but it must be in the best state possible because everyone accepts that it is, right? I'm sure that Flax even accepted the invite. It's definitely not worth it in terms of value for money for him, is it? He could have just streamed playing Overwatch for this amount of time and made 5 times the amount. He's part of a handful of streamers that legitimately scorched earth Overwatch. Did you see a clip of him? The one that he took down of his reaction to 6v6 Spilo? It was really actually sad to see. He was just clearly so burnt out on the video game and didn't want to be there, and he just started like immediately talking negative about everything, and his chat just kind of like blew up with it. And I feel kind of bad for him because he's kind of like in this mode where he's way too successful to not do content on it, and it is a no-brainer financially to not do content on it. But I do think he's just done with the game, right? And I think that's fine, and I'm glad he's doing things like this still, because I think he's always been interesting and cogent when he talks about things, and he normally has not informed opinions, but he's able to put his emotive opinions into words, and I think that's always like really useful.
It's cool and interesting to watch how excited a lot of Overwatch fans are, and I think they have every right to be. But there's so like the concerns for me as being in the middle is where do you go next? Because I feel like we've hit the wall almost. Like Spilo brought up some good things about the 5v5, 6v6. I have thoughts on that too, but like let's talk big picture. Where does the game go from here? If you do not if you keep the same content pace you have, isn't this the max theoretically?
It's difficult. Like Blizzard have done all their big marketing pushes at this point, right? We've kind of like shot our load for the next like 6 months to a year at the very least of big things into the game. So this was the impulse, and I'm gonna be honest, for player numbers, it didn't do that well. It did fine. Like Stadium release back down to the same numbers in like 4 weeks, and then we got the new hero release, and we got like perks and stuff like that. because I think Flats is right about this. Like, where do we go? If you look at this, I mean, sorry, I'll put it there. If you look at this, it's like, eesh, there is only a certain amount of stuff you can do. In my opinion, right, you don't need to keep adding to the game. All the things they've added, for the most part, have taken away in small ways from the game. And instead of trying to jingle keys, they need to lock down on a core gameplay concepts and make the game actually the best version of itself. But they're really struggling to do that because they've got a lot of nested eggs in baskets. And it's really hard to make the arguments. I've tried to make the argument to Spilo a couple of times about Season 9. I've been unsuccessful in a broad sense to be able to do that. So if I can't make the argument to somebody intelligent like Spilo, like there's kind of like no hope of me being able... hopefully I'm right, but like I wouldn't be still saying it if I wasn't right. So if that is potentially making the game worse in a coherent way, right? Like it is substantially decreasing the experience. How would Blizzard ever think to revert that? But just theoretically, if you disagree, just get on my side of the fence for like a second. If I can't explain that in a cogent enough way to convince somebody that's intelligent about the game, then we're kind of just in a rut, right? And I think there's a load of things like that. I think perks are, for the most part, just bad for the game. I don't think they've added anything. I think they've taken away in serious ways, not just for not just for me in terms of my experience, but for the average player. I think 5v5 has forced tanks to be the worst version of themselves. I think that tanks being overly lethal in a single target way is awful for the average experience at a low rank. But where else do you go there? There's really no room to maneuver because they've had to make tanks that lethal in order to have anyone play them in 5v5 because quite frankly nobody wanted to play them before they added all the lethality into 5v5, and even now they're struggling a little bit. They do add gameplay variety. It's less competitive, consistent. I wouldn't say they add nothing. I wouldn't say perks add nothing. No, I wouldn't say they add nothing. They do add something to the game in terms of variety. But the question is that variety worth the stuff from the core experience that gets taken away? Is having Moira fade and be on the other side of the map away from you actually a good thing to add? Is that actually good? Like, is Bounce Nade something good? Sure, they're taking out Groggy, but and they're taking out Self Nano, I've heard. I haven't looked at what the perk changes are. But, like, still quite a few of these are just uninteractive or make the game worse in a general sense, right? Like Soldier being able to sprint extra fast. Didn't we balance the sprint speed to be that way in the first place for a reason? If it's faster, doesn't that make him less interactive, right? It's really difficult. Like, I don't think perks have added anything. But that was their big push, right? And it's done this. Stadium releases. Stadium's a big push. Stadium did this. And I'm like, where do we go from here? Quite a lot of the ruts that they put themselves into, I don't think they can actually get out of. I think they're just in it now. Because Season 9, the bigger... I think Spylo's done an excellent job, by the way. I'm just going to say, like, glaze him for a second. Arguing for the cooldown reduction in 6v6. Mwah. I love you. You're amazing. That is something that I don't think that they are stuck on that would substantially improve the video game, right? I think that would substantially improve the video game in a way that doesn't take away from anyone's enjoyment. I think that is just specifically significantly better. It's hard. Like, I don't know where Blizzard goes from here. I think quite a lot of the things they're just stuck on, or they've got so much invested interest. And I think he's right to question it, quite frankly. I do think Flats is right to question it.
Like, you get a hero, you get 3 heroes a year, you know, skins, battle passes, additional in-game features like stats, additional balance for in-game. Like, the game feels pretty balanced, perks changing in and out. Like, where, like, adding more heroes to Stadium, you know, more powers to Stadium, changing those perks out. But, like, are we at, I think we're at capacity, at least in the current sense. The only way I could think you go further is if you actually go...
And this is why I'm so happy that Flats is on. He always has good takes like this.
Verse the track of where the story's been, where there's just nothing, period. There's no lore, there's no cinematics.
100%. That's the only big expansion. The only other things you can do is hunker down on what makes your game good in the first place. That's basically the only other thing you can do.
Nothing that actually drives any new people in. And so from the outside, there's 2 things that I've noticed that are very apparent. One, the hate for Overwatch is way stronger than you even believe it is. Like, if you think you think it's strong, no, it's actually 10 times worse than you think it is. So much so that it doesn't matter if people think, even if now it isn't its best state it's ever been, the amount of people that will legitimately, not just because of like 4 or 5-year-old.
Yeah, Bobby didn't just burn the bridge. He also salted the earth and shot the dogs, right? Like, Bobby absolutely ruined Overwatch by forcing Overwatch 2 to come out in an unfinished state. And obviously, like, I don't think they were ever going to release anything. So there was nothing to really ruin because we were already 4 years down the line of PvE with no, well, I'd say estimating about 25% of the amount of work they need to do to make that a reality done.
whatever. They do not care. They will never touch that game again. They will think it's the worst thing on the planet for whatever reason that they have.
Agreed.
Right?
It's a meme. That's the problem. It's a meme. It's a really funny meme. Saying Overwatch bad is funny to most people, and that is a massive issue from the game that you can't really get over. What would you need to do? I say complete rebranding. I say you go back to Overwatch, you re-release it as straight Overwatch, but they've already kind of like missed the big push with 6v6 and stuff like that in order to be able to do that. I think they need to do, and it would be really, really difficult marketing push to be able to do that, because obviously people could just push it and stuff like that. But I don't know. I feel like they need something in order to like reset the public opinion.
And I don't know if that's fixable, genuinely. So I feel like you kind of in the game where it's like, well, it's doing a lot of good things, right? Like it's listening to its current community, which is good. But it's funny talking about the 6v6 stuff. I'm actually a bit of a realizer after playing it when it first came out, when it actually had its first balance patch, and probably only balance patch. I realized how much I genuinely dislike tanking in Overwatch 2. And every time I come back, I just don't play tank. Because if I end up playing tank multiple games in a row, I literally want to rip my eyelids out of my head. playing support and playing DPS are a million times better, and the support experience in this game is top tier. And I realize that's what it is. And I don't think I'll ever like the 5-5 tank format. I think I've just given up on it.
It's just so significantly bad, and I think the queue times are great. 100%. I think it's just a bad concept. And sure, you can say I like the gameplay that falls out of it better, but I think the tanking is just significantly bad on average compared to the things that people tend to like in the video game. I think people in 6v6 for the most part like space control. They like being the person to move the enemy team around. In 5v5, the only thing that is enjoyable about it is the ability to murder people, and you can't take that away despite it ruining my enjoyment of different elements of the video game.
It's GG's for me. But honestly, a lot of those people that used to argue for like they should bring 6v6 back, because like think of all the people that quit, like that probably would come back and play. No, those people will never come back. I promise you, they will never come back.
I don't think that's true. I think quite a few people came back for 6v6. But yeah, I get what he's saying in the general sense.
So
they needed to do a massive marketing push around 6v6 in order to get the players back that left because of the Overwatch 2 stuff. It wasn't good enough, so only the people that really like 6v6 came back. And quite frankly, most people aren't as fanatical about it as people that are paying attention.
It's more as like if there ever is rhetoric in the future about bringing players back, I think you should probably just let that go. I think you probably have like the player base it currently has, and you could probably get people more invested into it, and also like maybe people that left for story reasons and don't like have a reason to like super get into it might come back. But if like on gameplay alone, it's actually kind of sad, because
it's so funny. Like all of these conversations always center around getting people back into the video game. Like there aren't new players to get into the video game that haven't even really heard of Overwatch. The trouble is if that general public opinion gets to those players before you get to those players, you really do need to fix your public opinion so you aren't laughed at just by saying somebody. I've said to multiple people that I do content on Overwatch online, the reaction I get from them, right? Like, it's the silly stuff they did in 6v6 mode that's so simple. And how could any 6v6er feel like they just went, here you go, kids now struggling? How not feel like... How could any 6v6er not feel like they just went, here you go, kids now struggling? Yeah, it's one of those, they just kind of like throw it to the wolves and let the wolves kind of like rip it apart. That's the game mode. It's just not even close to the best version of what it could be.
Time I've ever talked about positive things Overwatch does, whether it's with variety games, like I was talking about like some of the final stuff forever ago, and like they thought it was like I might as well have like called their grandmother like a big fat smelly grandma, like how fucked up it was. To how dare you even assume that the good things Overwatch did are similar to how our game is. Like,
I watched an episode of the Markiplier podcast, and one of his friends said they quit Overwatch because they removed a tank for no reason and have no idea they brought back 6v6. Yeah, and the worst part is they will try. They will come back into the game. If they do, they'll come back into the game. They'll click on 6v6. They'll be like, tanks feels relatively bad in this, and they won't put the pieces together to see why. They'll just turn off the game again because it's a bad experience because Blizzard ruined it for no reason.
Example, it was talking about how Overwatch has been improved significantly since its launch, right? Like the finals was another example of like they've improved significantly, but sometimes it's hard to bring people back. They're not really willing to give it a try once that first impression.
When you bring people back, there has to be a good core experience to bring them back to. That's the problem.
been broken. And I was talking about how Overwatch has improved significantly, and like, oh my god, I've never seen such anger, like full on, like I thought someone was gonna come knock on my door.
Well, you are in the Rivals community. I mean, they are all like 14-year-olds.
Types of anger, and so
When you call a player base of gooners, I mean, you've got a player base of gooners. It is what it is.
it's really sad, and I don't actually know if Overwatch realizes that, because I think they do.
I've got a good idea. What if they do a content creator game mode every mid-season that is up till the end of the season? If there were good changes from said creators in those patches, they can bring it over to the live game. Yeah, I think that's very reasonable. I think that would be a good churning mechanic in order to get people back into the game, and they can name them interesting things, and that could have kind of like a flow to the video game, and bring a conversation about what is good in the video game, and show that you're listening to the content creators. And they could invite me up to up to California and give me free food and tell me to do their work. That would, yeah, thank you, Blizzard, do that for me.
Genuinely want to bring a lot of those people back and like rebuild that that trust that they once had. And like, I was a big believer that you could do that, and there's like certain things that like you could try to do. I'm no longer a believer. I think that like you have your community, and I think you just roll with it. And you know, even with like 6v6 is a good example where I personally don't think I want to play tank in Overwatch anymore as a 6v6.
I think you're right, EverQuest.
Or sorry, 5v5. I've just genuinely like the Rivals experience for tanking much more, and I realized when playing 6v6 Overwatch, it's
And that is a fucking damnation, isn't it? Saying that I like the Rivals tanking experience. They fucked it up so badly that you like the Rivals tanking experience more than the Overwatch one. Man, you goofed. And Flats can't even put his finger on why with quite a lot of this. Like he'll say like you're hated on by everything. It's 5v5, but why don't you like 6v6 Flats? Why don't you like 6v6 tanking more than you like Rivals tanking? You see, he doesn't have a reason for that because they didn't put those together.
Similar, and that's what I genuinely liked. That being said, though, like if there was ever an argument to even like switch form,
I was watching an Overwatch stream at work last week, and the new guy went out of his way to point at my screen and say, "Ooh, you like Overwatch? That game is garbage." He could not elaborate. Yep, that's the average experience.
Format's back. I don't think you rock the boat on what format you have at this point. Like, your community is now built off of that game. Don't try to pander to older like communities that maybe used to play. Like, focus on what you got now, because those people are never coming back. Like, I genuinely can't stress that to you enough. Like how deep-seated hatred is from those groups of people.
Spilo here looks like a 1960s yoga mum, respectfully. Yeah, that's my type.
And I really want to drive that home.
Can you tell me why 66 tanking feels bad? The cooldown cycles are broken, and they never balance the intensity of the effects for the tanks to be better or worse. Also, you have the DPS passive. Despite the fact that healing creepers come in, you have the DPS passive making it so you have to be a lot more bursty in the way that you act, and there's a lot less sharp. There's a lot more there's less sharpness in it. So first off, you're not dying immediately, right? That's what they've tried to remove. The Reinhardt charges into the enemy team and blows up with 15 stun. They tried to remove that, but at the same time, they didn't realize that that's one side of the coin, and the other side of the coin is being able to do stuff more actively. So you have a very slow mode where you don't die instantly. I think what they should do, and I've said this before, I think the headshot damage reduction passive was incredible on tanks and made the experience a lot better. All they have to do is keep going on that. They need to make the armor have a minimum damage reduction. That would significantly improve the tank experience. And then realistically, they need to move away from the single target explosions and move into the AoE components of the kits, like what we've done with Hazard. We've focused on the block and the lifesteal from the block and pushing yourself in with block and knifing to get out instead of knifing in to instantly murder somebody. I think that vastly improves the experience of the mode.
As I do think Overwatch is doing.
Fuck the headshot damage reduction. I hate it. Okay, you hate it. That's fine. It doesn't reward skill for the person shooting them, but it does average out the damage coming into a tank so that they don't get Hanzo headshot in the middle of doing something and not know why they died at a low rank. That's a very important thing to be able to even out.
Really well. But my curiosity is like, where do you take it from here? I'm really curious to see how where they go forward.
It's a really good comment from Flats, by the way. I think he's been really cogent there.
That's kind of monopolized the Overwatch hate thing, and I always think format was such a minority of the problem, right? Whenever you see like, because if you think about like,
and Flats, this is a bad business decision for Flats to be on this podcast. He doesn't gain anything. His audience are probably upset about him doing this. It's a waste of his fucking time, and he probably just put like 20 minutes worth of thought into coming up with that intro, right? I don't think that was off the top of his head. I think he's wrote something down for that. Crazy. What a great guy.
Like Flats is saying, like the perception of why Overwatch is a dead game, it really isn't it's always goes back to the PvE or the cinematics. It's like that. I don't know what you guys see, but that's anytime it's always that. It's almost never format issue.
I think it's good that I can pressure Zarya significantly by headshot hers Hanzo. Doesn't feel rewarding now. Well, the offside of that is by putting those damage reductions up, we can decrease the health pools, so you're still able to pressure.
Right, it's just a player
Which are
perception
reducing
of
the
like, oh,
spikiness.
these guys don't care. It's a cash grab. Cinematics, they cancel PvE, greedy, and so like I agree with Flats that like it really isn't. Even if 66 was superior to 5v5, it's not like that's not gonna like fix things. You know what I'm saying? We're not just gonna like, oh, it's fixed now, it's back to 66. It really is like a perception. So like if you ever wanted to bring players back,
yeah, there was no marketing push with it. Everyone, I think there was a hint that people thought at one point that they were going to rebrand the base like Overwatch on its own. And what they did is they I say they shot their load. They've done perks, they've done season 9, they've done perks, they've done stadium, they've done 6v6, and they haven't rebranded or changed the public perception in any meaningful way by them, because quite frankly, they just said haha Overwatch. There was no push whatsoever. Does Overwatch do commercials or anything? Nope. And still Reddit's full of Rivals commercials every single damn day, aren't they?
If it was just in part, because I agree with Flats, I don't think you can really ever repair something like that in full. It's going to have to be with like a very casual, communicated spectacle, to be honest, like in some way, shape, or form, for lack of a better term. Like
Spider's take about the reasoning behind players not liking the game being PvE or lore is absolutely part of it, but 90% of players can feel a problem they can't understand or explain. That's just an obvious thing people can attach to because they can't understand the gameplay reasoning for disliking it. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, people don't understand why the average gameplay falls short. Because of that, people attribute it to other things. Or like Flats likes tanking in Rivals more than tanking in Overwatch. Come on, guys. Like, what are we doing? This is crazy. This is absolute insanity. Like, how does this happen? And he can't even put it into words. He can put it into words for 5v5 because he's talked about that for a long period of time before he quit. But for 6v6, he just hands off. Don't want to play it.
It can't be like the game is really balanced and designed well, and you've got a lot of really cool characters. Like I think that stuff is very important to keep the player base that we have. And I like to think the game is doing well because they've done a phenomenal job at that. But if you wanted to fix the public perception of Overwatch, it doesn't matter because people don't know. There's not really there's a trickle. There's a trickle. All right, Avril.
Here we go, Avril. This is the start.
Here we go. The debate part of
Here we go.
the great debate starts, guys.
I'm glad he's on because, yeah, you need some sort of debate. So it's nice to see Avril on. I like having conflicting opinions to talk about.
This is what we're here for, the great debate part. No, you can get people back. It's been proven. It's been proven. You just got to drop the anime, okay? It's worked for other games.
Oh yeah.
Once the anime drops, people start flooding in. Okay, League of Legends is a 10-year-old game. Arcane drops. People start playing the game and then realize they hate it because you can't learn League of Legends now unless you've been playing the game already.
I agree with him. Yeah, no, that's true. You can do that marketing push. That's the only thing you can do. But Flat said that as well. Like, that's the only thing. I mean, the question is, do they have the budget for that? That's the only question, right?
For the last year.
But if you, as you say with League of Legends, if you do get people back into the game through the anime, do you know what you have to have when they get into the game? You have to have a good core experience. And if Flats likes tanking in Rivals more than he likes tanking in Overwatch, then we don't have a good core experience. We have a good core experience for 80% of the player base, not 100%.
Years. Edge Runners
That's a
drops
big one right there.
Terrible game. Edge Runners drops.
But
Everyone floods back in the game. It's like, oh, this game was like okay now.
I'd love for Ralph and Avril to sit down together to get to the bottom of the bridge being obliterated. Yeah, I'd love it too. From his reaction, I don't think that there's ever a chance of that, obviously. But like, I don't hate Avril. I think he's got some good takes. I think he had a bizarre reaction to me just like politely disagreeing with him about his bad takes, which I think he has plenty of as well. Which is like that's what we're here to do on the internet, apart from talk about each other's takes. You're on a debate podcast and I disagree with you back in the day and you're like, he's an asshole. Like, but come on dude. Like, come on.
So that happened. No Man's Sky didn't have an anime, but if it did, same shit would have happened. That shit got turned around as well.
No, you need a good core game. If you don't have a good core game and people can't understand why the game's falling short in some way, and don't get me wrong, Overwatch is a good core game, but it could be better.
No, people would, because people were stuck on, I don't know, it's dumb to me, but people get stuck on the whole story lore thing. It's like, none of you guys really cared about this because you signed up to play a PvP shooter game. If you wanted a lore game, you would have played World of Warcraft or some other shit. You would have played an RPG game. You would have played a story game, a walking simulator of some sort.
No, I think a lot of hope was put behind the the story continuing, right? I don't think that exclusively one thing or the other.
You did not play Overwatch because of the story. Stop lying to yourselves. I hate this. It's really annoying that people will state lore.
They played Overwatch for the fantasy, not for the story. And it's pretty obvious that the fantasy slowly decayed over time by the lack of stuff that was put out by the team.
Or some story bullcrap is a reason they don't like it. It's like, no, you never touched Overwatch for that reason. So quit lying to everybody. Quit lying to yourself. It's getting annoying.
Well, sorry, I wanted to let you finish, but I just wanted to go
Yeah,
after.
people love RAM lore. Wow, they love it so much, man. Get RAM out of this video game.
Because I disagree with that slightly. Just fuck it, I'll rip it.
Some people will say
Backpedals immediately on this point.
I did, but I don't agree. I don't think so.
Well, no, I
think
agree
you
that
did.
you're right on they didn't get into it for that, but it's why they stayed. So like the amount of people that latch onto one character and one hero, like think about all the Twitter accounts you see that are just like dedicated to one hero or one thing, right? Like people make it almost their whole personality. I made a fucking career out of it, right? Like I can't tell you how many times people still come in and go, oh my god, you're that Ryan guy. I can't even get to a Rivals day without someone going, oh my god, I used to watch you back in Overwatch when you used to play Ryan.
Have something to do with lore.
Well, hang on.
Yes, of course it has something to do with lore. Not story. I think Overwatch doesn't necessarily need story in the same way that it needs lore, but it does need lore.
Gameplay to me. It sounds like hero design to me.
Right, but like I'm saying is like
You're okay, Spud. I'm putting you through a filter of my mind before I read your comments now.
the lore is what builds into that though. Like it's not just that. Like people, a lot of those cinematics.
Yeah, exactly. You think Marvel Rivals would be successful if it didn't have hundreds of hours of fully produced AAA films out? Like it just wouldn't happen.
Those stories that people watched that really did actually like connect to them. It made them want to try those characters. And like there's other things too, right? Like if we're talking 2016, I'd say that there's a few things that probably make people want to play like Genji, right? I think the cinematic's a big one. I think like the Seagull 117 video is another big one. And I think that just like being
Being a fucking cyborg ninja, that's metal as shit.
like a cool looking ninja made a lot of people want to play that character and got attached to it. But like being able to also like look at the story behind it too kind of just takes it to the next level, right? And that's something where I think a lot of games today, if they mimic like pre-Rivals, right, there was like 4.
But if you don't have good core gameplay behind it, then the game falls off over time. You got to have that impulse in, and then you've got to keep them there.
or 5 hero shooters that tried to mimic Overwatch, and they were close in gameplay, but they had nothing else. And part of what Rivals grabbed was not only like
So many people play Rivals for its story and also generation growing up to watch Marvel. Yeah, of course it is. Of course. No doubt.
pretty good gameplay loop, but you had a connection to every single character in the game. Like you knew who all the characters were, and people when they first jumped in had
Interesting it's such a weird take by Avril, because Avril on one hand said, well, you got to get these things to get, like you got to get these animations in order to bring people back to the game, and then said, well, people don't stick around for the animations. Like
decent idea of what they wanted to play. So they got to relive 2016 Overwatch, but now with other characters that they recognize and enjoy. So I agree with you. I don't think lore is what brings someone in. I think lore is what keeps them in. But also like what you said with Arcane, right? Like that's a story that got people into the game, right? Like people went back to try League and then realized, holy shit, it's 10 years old and I'm just getting my ass kicked. This fucking sucks. So like clearly lore does get people's attention, right? It can work just in the anime versus like in game.
I think it's the other way around. I think lore,
I love the animations. I watched all the stories on YouTube, made me enjoy and love Overwatch more. I love the Sigma short so much. It's so good, man. It makes me, it gives me shivers every time. It's so good.
I think lore gets people in, and gameplay keeps them in. And the reason why is because Overwatch is a game that hardly has lore. You can watch the cinematics.
That was me.
Yeah.
We'll let Spilo just express this thought, because I think it's a short one, and then we'll go back to Avril.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's sorry.
I didn't wanna respond, but yeah.
Good hosting by SCB there.
It's lore in the gameplay for me. It's like the gameplay loop, and that's just my experience. But I don't think it really matters. I think Flats' point is that it's basically impossible
It does matter. It does matter whether the gameplay loop is good or bad.
to get people hooked on a quality gameplay loop because people don't want to get into the quality gameplay loop. And then Avril is just simply saying, wait, I know a secret life hack, break the glass, release an anime, release all the stuff that's more spectacle that will get people hooked with the gameplay loop.
Exactly
And that's really
what is
all it
Avril's
is. Like, I
take
think
here?
we both agree that the gameplay loop
Yes.
/ lore development, whether it keeps people or gets them in, whatever,
It doesn't matter. Like, it's good for the game, right?
but like it's like the gameplay is not the lowest hanging fruit anymore. You know, like I think
I don't think that's true. I think the gameplay is the lowest hanging fruit. I think you could do a lot to the game to improve it. I think 5v5 is in a rut of a dead end, and all of the 5v5ers should acknowledge immediately that I think it's okay for the tank experience to be fucking terrible for the game to be a little bit better for the rest of the players. I think that's like, sure, loads of people like being the guy. They do like being the guy and being the big guy, but for the rest of people and for the vast majority, the tank experience is significantly worse there, and we are taking that as a thing that is okay in order to get the things you like out of 5v5, which is the space. I think you have to admit that.
That ship has sailed like 2 years ago. You know,
No,
like
I
I'm
don't
not
think
saying
it
that
has.
Overwatch is perfect right now, but like
I don't think it has. I think there's a lot of things in this game right now that are significantly reducing the average gameplay experience for the average player. And the worst part is it's very hard to argue these because the average player does not know what makes their experience worse. The average player does not know that a Moira fading away into Narnia is a bad experience. They just have that bad experience and that sits with them and they can't put it into words, right? When they get groggied and they fucking like can't move about on ball, or their ball character gets banned, they think, it doesn't really hit them that that's the thing making them have a bad experience in the video game. So all of these like little things, all the inconsistency in the video game, all of the things like bans making it so you can't pick your hero, all of the perks changing around the hero, they do take away from the experience in a very meaningful way. Season 9 making it so you're less active, Season 9 making it so that healing feels, well, can put out less aggressive pressure. All of these things take away, and I don't think any of the average players who are the most affected by this, because they're on the learning curve still, can put this into words.
to any other game, it has
Gameplay is the low-hanging fruit.
its issues. I think it's in a much better state than it's ever been. So it's like, what do we need to do to get a casual audience willing to just try it again? To be fair, it's a 10-year-old game, and I think you need to kind of set like realistic expectations. Like it's not going to be the #1 played game on Steam besides the whole Battle.net versus Steam things. Like it's just not going to happen. It's
You're
not
right,
going to
Bazzy.
compete with that.
Yeah,
It
you're
just,
right.
But like, is there like a point in time where it's like
I never expected Super TF calling everything slot would infect the entire community.
more? I don't know. Like
All right,
So,
Aaron, back to
here's
you.
what I'm trying to say is the reason why I said the anime will bring people back is because the lore will bring people into the game, but the gameplay is what keeps them in. The difference is like we've seen it, like people will watch Arcane, but then they try League of
Devs are implementing my Hammond suggestion of making him immune to hack when he uses shields, which everyone's going to hate, but I did suggest it. I think it just reduces interactivity in the game. We should instead just fix the actual interaction with hack that they never have fucking fixed the entire time. Why does he get put out of ball form when he gets hacked? For what possible reason? Is it just so hard-coded that you can't change it? Nobody thinks this should be a thing. Like, no, you can ask anyone that plays this video game whether that interaction is healthy for the game. Everyone's gonna tell you the answer there. Like, come on, guys, come on.
Legends, and the gameplay, while good, is good if you've been playing League of Legends for 5 years, and not good if you're starting from day one. Whereas I think Overwatch is actually a lot more approachable for a day one player. I'm not a day one player, so like I can't just say for a
Agreed.
fact that if I was day one player in Overwatch, how I would.
But no, it's a hard one there because League of Legends is unapproachable in the way that there's a wall of things to learn. Overwatch is unapproachable in the way that there is inconsistency in the way that things interact with you. So there's a more gradual onboarding with Overwatch, but it does have the same amount of friction in total, in my opinion.
Feel, but I just think it's like as a hero shooter, it's still pretty damn approachable. Especially like I think Overwatch does actually try to give you like a new player experience. Anyway, point is, I don't think people stay for the lore because there's actually just no lore. Like the lore is surface level. The lore is like so surface level that once you dive into it, you're like, okay, I've seen all the cinematics.
He's right. He's right though. There is no story. There is no deepness to the game. There's literally the Total Biscuit quote, like, wide as an ocean, shallow as a paddling pool, if I can talk today.
I read the comics. If I'm like a hardcore fan, I might even read the short stories. And then what do you have after that? Like compare that to any game with real lore.
Custard was on the dev team and his explanation behind the ball perk change tilted the shit out of me. I'm gonna watch that at some point, man.
Or like a game that's based on story,
seen
based on lore is the main selling point. Overwatch is like no lore. It's like a 1% of real lore that a game should have if you're looking at a game that actually like selling the lore as real marketing. So the people are saying it's like, well, I got into Overwatch because of the cinematics. Yes, you're proving my point. Literally proving my point, chat. Thank you for that. You proved that exactly. You got him because of the lore, but you're not going to stay because of the lore because
Avril doesn't enjoy people disagreeing with him, does he? No, I think Avril's wrong here. Hack shouldn't cancel abilities, but it should prevent them instead. Getting hacked during pile driver shouldn't kick you out, but it should prevent you from being able to pile drive once you're hacked. Yeah, totally. Yeah, entirely.
actually no lore in the game. You're going to stay because the game is going to be somewhat fun for you to play from a gameplay perspective. Because if it wasn't, you would leave. You wouldn't stay playing games. You'd be like Flats and you would say, I can't handle the 5-5 attack tanking experience because it's not fun, which is a fine. And you know what? I still don't think the 5-5 tanking experience is perfect, so I don't blame you for that. I think that's a fair take to have. But that's my point. If the gameplay isn't good, you won't stay.
Mm.
There's not enough.
Everyone's
There's
right.
nowhere near amount of lore in the game.
I don't know how
to
he
make
got here, but he's right about this.
you stay. So lore is never going to be the reason that you stay in Overwatch. But it might be the reason.
It will be a reason to stay, but you need gameplay in order for the game to be enjoyable. I wonder what Avril thinks is making the gameplay worse. Probably the existence of tanks still. Instead of having the one tank, he thinks you should shoot them in the head.
Reason that you give it another look.
Well, I mean, the thing about like, okay, I actually want to go and I want to actually asterisk. Want to talk about the new player thing?
I think Avril's opinion here was a little bit non-cogent, right?
Second, but I mean,
Avril just hit a road where he had to agree 5v5 sucks because Flat said he can't disagree with Flat. Yeah, it's weird that he ended that little rant with you have to fix 5v5 tanking, or 5v5 tanking is boring, right? Or bad. That's an interesting opinion you have there, Avril. We should talk so we can agree.
even if that is true, like there is, like you said, there's no lore to latch onto. So it's like, yeah, if I don't play it as much, but there's nothing to really like. There's nothing there anyway. So
what are we talking about? We're literally talking about whether adding lore would help the game, and they're like, well, there is none. Of course there's none. They haven't added it. Like, we're just talking about whether they have something more to do in order to be able to push to regain it further heights. Not just saying, well, there's nothing to latch onto, so whatever. Yes, we need gameplay fixes, and we need the lore.
Only gameplay loop. And so like the gameplay loop for me as a tank player has changed so much that it's just like, like
It's fucking awful. It's really bad.
not like what it was. Like, for example,
We're talking about whether the gameplay's good, and Flash is just like, it's terrible, right? It's just really bad. Like, it's awful. Nobody likes this shit. And Spylo's there like, angle pilled, oh, angle maxing. Angles.
the lore. Like what, for example, what was my favorite character for a long time, Ryan, like the Ryan lore versus like cinematics and whatnot is so different than the gameplay loop. Like Ryan now is just like brain off charge gameplay. And like,
Oh, what a man. What a fucking man. Yeah, nobody likes tanks being absurdly lethal and being able to do whatever they want when they have full health and doing nothing when they have low health, right? Having to be entirely committal is not Ryan's lore experience. It's not. It's never has been. Being able to play around with your resources, go in, go out, swing once, swing twice, back up, shield up, go around the corner, go back in. That's the Reinhardt experience. That's the fun part. We've removed it. King's Row is the worst it's ever been in the history of Overwatch. The worst it's ever been. And that's what people like about Overwatch.
you just try to fucking one-shot people with pin or just like shield bot. You know what
What a man. Fucking glad he's here. Jesus Christ, good stuff.
I mean? It's like, that was very different than like what it was portrayed as, like old cinematics and
Wow.
like how the gameplay loop was back then.
What a man.
So like, this might be an agree to disagree, right, on that part.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's a you're right, and everyone else just shut up.
But I just don't think like there's not like even in that there is no lore to say that that's the reason.
Yeah, I do not know what the fuck he's talking about with the cinematic and the lore kind of thing, because I think he's kind of like conflating them. The cinematic does make Ryan look like he could 1v20 and that he should go straight in, but I don't think the I think the gameplay on itself is just significantly worse, and he's like perfectly pinpointed that, right?
Why you would leave anyways. You know what I mean? Like, but also for me, I've played the game for 8 years. You know what I mean? So I mean, if you want to know, I'll tell you an answer. Fuck it, I'll say it. With Rivals, I mean, the reason why I play Rivals more is one, I kind of had the realization with the 6v6 Overwatch stuff. I was like, oh shit, I really do like this format much better than I did like the 5v5. Like it just feels better.
Yeah,
But-
it does. It does, Flats. Look at Spylo with his little scowl, Avril off Radio's chat.
Two, Rivals was almost like getting to experience 2016 Overwatch, and I didn't get to do 2016 Overwatch. I was a Siege player back then, and then like played Arc.
I think what he's saying is he's getting to do the onboarding learning curve with other people, which I fully agree is a good thing.
So I missed 2016 Overwatch. And also like it's hard to deny, like my channel literally doubled in size overnight. Like literally everything
Didn't
doubled.
Ryan's cinematic basically show that Inting alone versus the entire enemy team would get him and his team killed? Actually, yeah, maybe you're right.
Overnight.
Maybe
And
that's consistent.
I was having more fun, and I was having a good time, and everything was going to the moon.
Yeah, on the cinematic, Ryan loves to not charge in and go kill things. Be a shield, play with your squad. The game right now, charge in and kill, get kills, fuck your team. They can deal with whatever themselves. I'm going to charge into the backline, then hold shield on the opposite side of the enemy team in order to space control. Yay.
And as much as I love Overwatch, you know, I also got to think about what's best for me sometimes. And so, like, yeah, there's other mitigating factors.
I'd
to
love to hear what's ruining 6v6 for Flats in his opinion. Right? I'd love to hear that.
that specifically. But yeah,
Spylo's currently ascending.
anyways, I think we agree to disagree on the lore.
You okay,
Um,
cutie? You
part-
okay?
I
You all right?
do think I have a good
little nap there.
perspective though on new players, new player experience? Do you mind if I go into that really quick?
Sure, go ahead.
So, actually, I've gotten a lot of people from Rivals to try Overwatch because I always talk about it pretty highly, and doing good things. And then when it comes up, like, why don't you play it as much anymore? My answer is almost always the same. I did it for 8 years. I feel like I kind of beat the game in a lot of ways, and most of the changes that I've ever wanted the game to have are in. So, like, I don't have many complaints for the game, which is fine. But I also came to realize that if I wanted to play Overwatch full time again, which I don't, I would have to role swap because 6v6 is not the main format. And it's not a
Jesus Christ, man. Like,
supported format, and to think it even is like hilariously bad.
oh man, this guy. Oh, I love this man.
So I would probably need to go role swap, and I just haven't wanted to really do that. Most of the people that I've gotten that have come from Rivals that said they're going to try Overwatch for the first time really struggle, and they always say, like, I'm getting my ass kicked.
Yeah, because you can do anything in Rivals and you're just fine.
Like, I load in and all the characters are locked, and they get confused, and they're like, well, I just want to be able to choose all the characters in the beginning. It's like, well, they do that to, like, ease you in so you don't get overwhelmed by choice. They're like, yeah, but I don't care. Like, I want to try whatever I want to try. That's it, you know? And so Overwatch is a very difficult game. And I think if you wanted to get into a hero shooter right now, I don't think they're going straight to Overwatch. I think they're trying Rivals first.
The very existence of Rivals is a damning statement against 5v5. How many ex-Overwatch players migrated? It's a proof in the pudding. And it's not, I'm not even a Rival fan / player. Yeah, 100%. So ridiculously true. It's so obvious.
Because it's just way easier.
I agree.
So I don't think Overwatch has the best new player experience. Basically, was what I was trying to go into. And I don't even think that's like because of the in-game version that they do. I think the game's just really fucking hard. And if people haven't had time to learn it, they're not 8-9 years behind on knowing what nano boost Winston combo, like, you know, someone like doesn't communicate in quick play, they just do the ultimate ready thing and they jump in and you don't nano them. They're going, well, what the fuck? Why didn't you nano me? And they're just confused. Like, how was that supposed to know?
It's like much faster tempo than Rivals. Much faster.
It is much faster as well. And like time to kill is much faster too. Like you don't have like as many bailout abilities or support abilities or healing, whatever it might be.
It's almost like people like the stability in the video game in the first place. That's what we like. That's a good thing. Why don't you removed it? Why have you made King's Row the worst experience it's ever been? Like, why have you done this? That's what we liked in the first place. Just because you like fucking angle slop doesn't mean everyone likes angle slop.
So yeah,
onboarding
I just wanted to say that,
like Rivals. I'm sorry, Vlad. No, go ahead.
No, you're good. I was just gonna say I don't think that the new player experience for a brand new Overwatch player is very good, in my opinion.
I reached out to Overwatch about a year ago, and I said, if you guys need your tutorial sucks, your onboarding sucks, I'm willing to take a couple months out of my time. Straight up, I was like, I mean, if you shoot your shot, you know, I was like, I will help you rework your tutorial to something that's more functional.
This guy's trying to get paid? Question mark?
Yeah.
Wait, you guys are getting paid?
And and they were you know, they were nice about it.
Spylo's gonna do the tutorial and be like, angles, no resource trade, no cooldown trade, no anything. It's just angles. The only thing he cares about in the video game.
It was just like other priorities at the point in time, but like, yeah, I mean, I think like if we're gonna start onboarding new players, Flats is absolutely 100% correct. It is terrible onboarding for Overwatch. It is an unbelievably difficult game. It's like the only game I actually think that I recommend.
Unbelievably difficult. Come on, man.
I was so completely wrong. Overwatch is a fucking brick wall of difficulty, and it's only been made worse over time by 5v5. 6v6 is an easier onboarding game, obviously. Like, what are we talking about? There's one more person to be able to protect you. There's more stability in the teams. Flankers can get into your backline less easily. It is a more stable game, and people enjoy that, and that's why we should move to the format for onboarding. Angle Watch is fine if it's Sigma. Angle Slop is where everyone just sits all over the place in a circle jerk, regardless of the players. Regardless if the characters should, because it's better generically. Yeah, 100%.
Let me explain to you, okay? So,
do tutorials even help for new players? No, is the answer. And I think Spylo is probably wrong on this in terms of his priorities. And I think the dev team are probably right. You should make the gameplay easier in terms of tutorializing. I don't think anyone will watch Spy. If you let's say, right, you got the Overwatch screen main menu, there's a tutorials tab where you got little Spylo videos explain the characters, how to play them, maybe a couple of things on metas, maybe like poke style brawl kind of things, all of those little things. I don't think anyone would watch that shit. I don't think anyone would. I don't think it helps in any way, shape, or form. I think what helps is the average gameplay at a low rank being more stable. I think that's what helps.
Tier list of difficult
kids-
games.
kids-
Show me
Make
what.
a tutorial for every character, like the intro, but for each of them. I don't think it would be a bad thing to put into the game, but I don't think it would make. I don't think it moved the needle very much.
Kids love shooters, right? Kids love shooters, right? They love their Fortnite. A lot of them I know love Rivals, right?
Fortnite, Battle Pass.
I've had a few kids try Overwatch. One of them was my sister. One of them was one of my wife's students, and so on. And they literally, like, they've done shooters. They know what shooters are. They can't handle anything more than like practice range / just playing versus AI. Because anything, like, even if it's like scaled down to like, you know, play, they're just the curb stomped. Like, they don't know what the buttons do. They don't know how to. It's just so much harder than other games.
Let me run this by you. What's more difficult?
No,
Counter-Strike
you
or
gotta let me
Overwatch?
finish.
League of Legends, Overwatch, Apex Legends, or Overwatch?
But see, that's you need to. Okay, let me
Valorant or
clarify
Overwatch,
what I mean
which
by
one?
difficult. I mean to understand.
Counter-Strike is easier. League of Legends is easier to onboard. Do you know why? Because you don't have the tracer in your backline fucking murdering you the whole time in League of Legends. The enemy team tends to be in front of you. You go down a lane and you kill the creep on that lane. Even if you're doing the wrong thing, you're doing the wrong thing. Apex, your job is to shoot people, right? There's just people on the map. You drop in, you get loot, you try and shoot people. That onboarding's infinitely easier. Overwatch currently is you have a bunch of people in a map, then you randomly die from a DPS on an off angle. Like 100% of the time. You die from spam down main, you die from a tank running you over and just instantly murdering you. All of those things are not intuitive to players and they suck the life out of the game. CS is easier in most ways. Yes, CS is 100% easier. Why would CS not be easy? Like, you load into a map, you go on a site, you protect the fucking entrance to the site. It's not that complicated, right? Because you might die the same amount, right? You might die the same amount, but it doesn't feel bad because you know more or less what you should be doing. In Overwatch, most of the time, the feedback mechanisms on what is good to do are completely opposite because you have no reason to go off on angles. Because there's no incentive to go off on angles and actively fight out those angles against the enemy team, and the things you are dying to are unintuitive.
Understand what the buttons do. Okay, anybody can pick up Counter-Strike that's ever played a shooter before. Now, the ceiling of that game is ridiculously high, right?
Yep.
But to understand
right.
what my buttons do is unbelievably simple. I
Is it
picked up a
easier for
game of
new players?
Valorant.
I think he's 100% kids will struggle with buttons in Overwatch, but I think that's a reasonable onboarding hurdle of you have 3 buttons, you load in, the buttons do something. I guess the question is there kind of, it should be a character intro, don't get me wrong. First time you select a character on a new account, you should have to go through a 30-second tutorial where it just makes you use the abilities against things, right? You just like, you remember the Helldivers tutorial, right? Where it just runs you through. That's a bit long, but quite frankly, that's what you should need to do. This does this, this does this, this does this, go have fun.
Overwatch or Counter-Strike?
All right, Avril, I'm
the
going to
game.
step in here.
Counter-Strike.
Let Spylo get his full thought out.
I think it's
and then-
Counter-Strike as well, actually.
Easily Counter-Strike. It's not even close. Counter-Strike,
Okay,
I haven't played it
I'll
at a high
disagree.
level, but
True
I had
base,
played
yeah,
shooters
he's
and
right.
I understood immediately, oh, there's a weapon, you shoot, you buy it, you buy stuff, and then that's basically it. You didn't have to understand the macro, you just shot the gun that you had.
Yeah,
right?
and the enemy team is generally over the other side of the map to you. That's a really big bit of the onboarding learning curve, knowing where the enemy team is and where you have to defend yourself from, and you don't have that in the unstable game of 5v5.
Overwatch starts you with more buttons. It's the same thing you said with League, right? Like I played Deadlock for the first time, like whenever it was on alpha or whatever. Bro, I was like, I loaded in and I was like in tears. Like I'm literally like, I don't know what's going on. Like I'm completely swamped, right? And you know, I figured it out because I like competitive games, and I had a guy who was explaining some of the stuff for me. But I felt like that must be what Overwatch feels like for new players.
Yeah.
And I've seen it firsthand several times since then. Obviously, skill is relative, so like you will be playing versus players that are equally clueless as you. But it's kind of like Flat says, when you first load in the game, you got half the heroes are locked. You don't know half the abilities do, and because it's so much faster, it's like with Rivals, you will die, you will fail, but it's like it feels like you kind of get onboarded gently. Overwatch just punches you in the mouth. And I think like that is something that they could do a better job of. I don't think you could.
The only way to fix that is gameplay. I'm going to be honest. You can do little bits, you can do character intros, but Rivals doesn't have character intros, and they do fine. So why can't Overwatch do it? Is it something to do with angle slop? perchance.
To completely fix that without changing the gameplay loop, which I don't want them to do. But that doesn't
There you go.
mean that the onboarding process has to be done better.
I like my angle slop. Don't change my angle slop. They'll have to change everything else in order to make my angle slop good enough on onboarding for the very low ranked players to be able to get into the game. No, crazy. Change the format. It's crazy.
You know?
Okay, well,
Yeah,
go ahead, Alva. You give your thought, and then I'm gonna move us on to a different point.
yeah, the onboarding process is not.
Is
great.
Marvel Rivals really that much easier than Overwatch? Yeah, the average Marvel Rivals experience is standing down main and waiting for ults. That nothing really threatens you as long as you're really conservative with your positioning. Nothing really challenges you. You don't have to go on angles. You just stand down main and wait for ult cycles. That's the onboarding learning curve for Overwatch. In Overwatch, for Rivals, sorry. But can't you do the same in Overwatch? No, if you do that in Overwatch, first off, there's less stability in the game, so things are more likely to die in neutral. So neutral is a lot more informative. Second off, healing is 30 or 15% weaker, so you can't do that healing type standing down main. In terms of damaging down main, there's less stuff to shoot because there's only one enemy tank, and shooting them does nothing, and it actually generates you less ult charge, remember? You see all of these systems barreling together to stop this straight line ult cycle gameplay. All of these systems, and the fact that you can that just gets invalidated by duels more than majority of the time in Overwatch. I think you can do the same in Overwatch, but they have purposely constructed Overwatch to make that less impactful.
No, I don't disagree there. And yeah, Marvel is probably easier to get into. No, it is definitely easier to get into. It's like a friendlier game to get into. But like compared to the rest of the market out there, like I just listed off a bunch of games, and we will not agree on the Counter-Strike
Which
take.
ones?
Promise you
Yeah,
that.
because you're wrong. You're wrong, Avril. You're straight up wrong.
Played a lot of games.
I
I disagree with
get your-
CS.
get your-
Valorant was
get your-
easy to pick up.
Can I just give one idea on the Counter-Strike thing? Like the only thing I would say with Counter-Strike is at the highest level, absolutely not. But at like
You have to be able to feel like you're playing the game. That's the onboarding, right? The very low tier onboarding that we're talking about here. In Fortnite, you load in, you parachute down, you hit a fucking tree, you're playing the game. In Rivals, you load in, you're healing, you're DPSing, you use your ult, you're playing the game. In Overwatch, you're not playing the game unless you go and do a duel. That's the only thing that's incentivized by the systems. It's the only thing. Sure, like you have a little bit of the feeling of playing the game because you do get some value for standing on main, but
easiest level, like it's almost like quote unquote Call of Duty. You see guy with gun walk at you, you
Yeah.
have gun. Guy
Call
with
of
gun
Duty,
shoot you,
just
you
shoot
fall over. There's smoke, molly, grenade, stuff like that. In Overwatch, there's like blinks, flying jump, like flying monkey, ball slam you, roll by at 9 million hours, like Diva's defense matrix.
maybe being instantly blown up by that flying monkey or the Divas DM and micros shouldn't be in the video game.
Missiles, bomb, like it's much more explosions. There's much more things happening on the screen.
I mean,
Like,
I got one
readability.
for you. Ready for this? How complicated is chess to a beginner? Chess is CS:GO, in my opinion.
I think that's a bad analogy. That's a
oh.
bad analogy.
Is it?
I was
When you start playing chess, once you've learned the rules, do you feel like you are playing the game? Yes. That's the onboarding. You feel like you're playing the game at a roughly even playing field. If you go into Overwatch and you learn your character abilities and what the other character abilities do you feel like you're playing the game if you get killed from an off angle? No, you feel like something's wrong. You don't know what you're supposed to do, right? For the most part, right? You're getting killed by a Hanzo arrow down main. Damn, that sucks. Just in time for the infuriating section. Is it okay? So is the infuriating section just Avril being wrong about? By the way, spoiler, you don't know about the Avril beef. Avril doesn't like me very much. Sorry. So that might be a brick wall for me being able to get onto things. I think Avril's just wrong about this. CS is obviously easier to onboard. Like you feel like you're playing the game the moment you just load in and pick up a gun. Like that's just it. When Overwatch, you get, and that's Spider. That's my main argument against 5v5 at the casual level. By the way, I've said it a second ago. 5v5 has less stability. There's more people on angles. 5v5 definitely incentivizes angular dueling and other things like that. I don't think that is a good onboarding experience for low-ranked players to be killed from an off angle. I don't think invalidating being able to shoot down main generally and be able to shoot the enemy tank is a good onboarding experience either. right? I think that's really problematic. And the stability in the game, and this has been proved from Rivals, I think, the stability is what people like for the most part. Low-ranked players like to be able to heal and that be impactful, damage down main and that be impactful, and be able to charge their ult and use their ult. Like, that's an okay gameplay loop. It's not very deep, and people don't stick at it for very long because it kind of sucks because there's nothing else. So we should do both, right? You are the bloody angle slop guy, 100%, absolutely fine. I get why you like 5v5. I get it entirely. But I mean, come on, dude. Like, I feel like there's kind of an impasse here, and I get what you were saying, that you need to improve the onboarding learning curve in order to have this. But my answer, as always, is just going to be, why are we having this in the first place, right? Like, it's difficult.
I was gonna agree with you, but as someone
jump in.
who is literally now hard grinding chess, Philo, I think this is a bad.
But see, that's
No,
you're the wrong
as
person
someone,
to ask.
no. As someone who just started like 2 months ago, I went through the new person to chess experience, and it is exceedingly complicated. So
No, it's not. No, it's not. Once you know how the pieces move, sure, you can get paired with someone really, really, really high level. But if you do get paired with someone your level, you feel like you're playing chess. In Overwatch, if you load into a match at your level, it can feel like you're not playing Overwatch. That's the difference.
But see, that's because you're aiming too
In
high.
Fortnite, you parachute down, you farm a tree, you get a gun, you shoot somebody and you die. You feel like you're playing Fortnite. That's the onboarding.
Listen,
No,
when
but
I
even
learned how
just
to-
get-
SCP actually debating moment.
again, you're just like, oh my god, there's like a bazillion things I can do.
Listen, I learned how to play chess.
We're
at
getting besides
4.
the point,
I learned
guys.
what the-
We're getting besides
what
the point.
things did.
I still have,
We're getting
I still have
besides
a
the point.
by the way.
We're getting besides the point. I was gonna agree with you on CS:GO. By the way, I was with you
guys-
until you fucking shot yourself in the
Listen,
foot.
No, these guys are fucking cooked, man. I don't know. Like, like SVB jumping in to also disagree. Like, they're not even touching with what you're talking about, man. It's not even skill flaw, it's understanding what the buttons do. It's understanding what the buttons do, and once you understand what the buttons do, being able to play the video game and not feel like you're being bullshitted by the video game. I think that's it. I think Rivals is easier because once you understand what the buttons do, and 100% onboarding what the buttons do is a good thing, and I think if you were able to tutorialize that better, it would be good for the video game. But I think that Overwatch is more rough once you know the things. Right, you know what your abilities do. I still think Overwatch is rough.
You guys are confusing definitions here. I'm explaining how easy is it to understand what the
And I don't disagree. I don't agree with you, Spilo, just because you're just because I'm trying to get kudos. I just agree with you because you're right. The majority of the time, it's so fucking weird how these intelligent people just go like completely off the deep end on really random things like this.
like what the game is doing. It is moving piece
Yes.
to take piece checkmate. That's it. With CS, like Flats is saying, it's just Call of Duty. That's it. Now it's obviously not that easy to actually play the game properly, but to explain it to a 5-year-old, you can do that with Overwatch, which is literally what you're working
With
with.
Overwatch, Spilo had to do a tutorial to explain angle slop. Okay, so little Timmy, you're gonna have to go and duel that person, because if you don't duel that person, what's gonna happen is they get positioning that is advantaged over your positioning, and they can do this thing called killing you because there's no tanks to control that space. Oh, little Timmy. Oh, yeah, the hazard just lunged and insta killed you. Yeah, they can do that. They can just do that wherever. It's fine. It's fine. It should be in the video game. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Oh, little Timmy, you got blown up by a diva with DM held on you, and there was nothing you could do about it. Just position better, I guess. Just don't go near him. What are you, stupid? You're near-ish the enemy tank, and they chose to all in on you for no reason whatsoever, despite it being a bad choice. Well, that was a good thing, actually, little Timmy. No, these are all bad things we should try and avoid. All of these situations, like tanks being able to instantly delete people, angle slot being completely dominant in the game over anything else. I think that you should be protected from these space created.
Onboarding, you're just a 5-year-old. You're a child. You don't have no idea what's
I'm
going
terrible at chess. I learned at 4, had no one to play with, and stopped playing when I was 6. So basically, what you're saying is you're uninformed on whether chess has a good onboarding curve.
on. You can explain it like a 5-year-old. You can't do it. That's what I'm talking about. With
come in
skill for. I've seen games. Yeah, you can come in.
Little
Just
Timmy, there's a purple French woman up there, so you can't play the game anymore.
but like when I'm saying difficult, it's like how easy is it to understand what the buttons do, not how you're supposed to use them or the strategy.
understand what you're
just
saying.
What
Go
do the
ahead,
buttons do?
I think we're just using different metrics here, because if the argument is how many
No, also known as you're not talking about the same fucking subject, Avril.
buttons, more buttons equals
Spilo started the conversation. He defines the metric we're looking at.
more difficult. If that's what we're reducing it to, then I guess you just win.
Yeah.
It's not what
That's
I'm talking
it,
about though. Like
Overwatch has harder onboarding than League of Legends by far. By far.
It's like there's a lot more than just how many
Sure.
buttons
To get into the game, the base level onboarding.
there are, what they do. Like a 5-year-old kid can jump
of
into
course.
Overwatch and just shoot people, and that's not technically wrong. You're
No,
still
they
playing-
can't because they feel like they're being bullshitted constantly. They feel like they're not playing the video game because they're being killed from random things that they don't understand about. Like they're being killed by abilities that they don't know. They're being insta-killed by tanks. They're being killed by DPS from off angles, and they don't understand how to deal with this apart from to space themselves further and further out away from the enemy team.
the game.
Which is what I argued bloody ages ago about the Reinhardt charge. How Reinhardt charge was problematic in the same way that Hook's problematic, because it is an increase in the sharpness of the character in a way that makes characters have to hold their movement abilities and not use them and have to move away from the characters.
Yeah, you just run into Counter-Strike and shoot people. It's
Yeah,
like, well, actually, there's
All
like
right, well,
10
let's
million other things you should
leave.
be
Let's
doing.
leave because I think when we get to these different game comparisons, we're talking different languages. Like
So the point-
I'm
so
gonna
the point I'm trying to get to-
hold my own.
Everyone has the argument direction that comes from my interpretations of your words is correct, and you don't know what you're saying. Oh god.
tongue and not snap back at Spilo. I'm gonna let this
I'll
move
finish
on.
my-
So Avril, move
I'll
on.
finish my point because I haven't been able to finish it because people will like dogpile me for like interrupting, but I haven't been able to finish my point because
Yeah,
I've been
absolutely.
interrupted like 5 times now. My point is, if you want to make a tier list,
You fucking interrupted 5 times now? No, you haven't. Come on, dude. Come on, dude.
of games that based on difficulty, what I think is difficult, Overwatch is like a B tier, and then you have like an A and S tier. B is being generous. I'm just gonna say Marvel might put in a C. It's not that difficult of a game. And to really go back to what I'm trying to get to is like if you have an Arcane, people want to try and get to League of Legends. It's very difficult. Like the learning curve is difficult. The learning curve of Overwatch, in comparison, so much easier, like unbelievably easy compared to a game like League of Legends. And I am going
Absolute bollocks. That is not true.
to use that comparison because I am talking about dropping an anime to get people back in the game in terms of interest. Right? That's the original conversations. as
Yeah,
well.
you drop in the anime, but if we don't solve the learning curve, then the anime does nothing because you need a good game to come into when you get into the game. We have to get people in, we have to get people playing, and we have to get people on the track up the skill ladder in order for them to generally enjoy the video game. And we have to have a good core average gameplay experience.
Like we kind of spiraled off into a whole bunch of stuff, and then this whole like video game debate, which you're right, SVP is probably not like super useful. So to get back to what I'm actually trying to say is like we haven't dropped an anime for Overwatch. Is the learning curve for Overwatch that difficult for people to get into?
Yes.
Not really. Is Marvel Rivals easier? Yes, I don't disagree. Are there harder games? Are there easy games? Yes.
What things about Marvel Rivals makes it easier to get into? Connect the dots here, guys. We're almost connecting the dots. What are the things about Rivals that makes the onboarding easy?
onboarding that good? It's probably missing a lot of stuff. The tutorial isn't great. Maybe we should have an option where, like, to Flax's point, it would be maybe a good option to allow people to unlock the entire hero roster instantly. If that's what they want to do. If they look at that and say, you know what, I don't mind being overwhelmed with all the heroes in the game. Press yes to agree. Boom, all heroes unlocked. That might be a good option. Maybe that should be in the game. So I'm okay with that. I'm okay. I agree. We should probably improve the onboarding process, but I think the learning curve of Overwatch
I think it's difficult to improve the onboarding process for Overwatch because I think the onboarding process is not the same as learning the characters in Overwatch. I think the onboarding process is getting to a level where you're able to more or less feel like you're playing the video game. I think that's the introductory onboarding process, and I think that's massively complicated by the lack of stability in the game at the moment and the lack of ability to just stand on the map and do general things and that be good, such as healing pressure. I think that Overwatch has exclusively moved away from this kind of thing. I think that King's Row, again, is the epitome of Overwatch. I think that optimizing for King's Row was what the game should have been to begin with. And I think this is the worst version of King's Row we've ever had in the video game.
generally speaking, to like get into day one. It's not that hard when you look at the rest of the games out there. It's certainly easier to play than like a lot of the games that I listed.
That's
Okay.
just not true.
I think again, this is
He's
the point where
speaking- he's
debate
speaking
occurs. Right? We
crap.
have different opinions, so I think that's totally fair. You
Can I
guys,
find my desk and like, is that
Sure.
legal?
sure,
I
Channel,
have
you're
like
gonna
a
send me
buzzer.
though.
You know?
Channel, you're gonna send me though.
I feel so sorry for Spilo.
I think everybody here, by the way, I think everybody here understands that it's deeply nuanced, right? It's like a deeply nuanced topic. Like whatever
Yeah.
we may ascribe is like, I think this is the
onboarding be difficult too, since Metal Rank's understanding of the game is all over the place, especially in like gold below. I don't think that's obviously that's part of the learning curve. I don't think that's part of the onboarding. I think the onboarding is getting into the video game and feeling like you're playing the video game, which I think is fine in a stable format. I don't think it's fine in current format, right?
number one reason. Even number one is like 20%, right? And it's like there's 10 other things that are like 10%, 15% of why people don't play, why people aren't coming back to Overwatch in the droves. I think all I'll say is because I haven't actually had a perspective on the actual substance of the matter beyond the stupid chess debate, is that I think my perspective actually marries a lot of what you guys are saying. Like it marries the two ends of the spectrum, which is that I think if you look at I think it's really unfair to compare Overwatch to Marvel Rivals. I know I just did it at the start of the show, and it's natural because it's like they're very similar games, but it's actually unfair because one is brand new, relatively speaking, and one is 10 years old. Really, you should compare Overwatch's performance and how it like retains or loses players is like compare it to League of Legends, compared to Dota, compared to CS. And those games also massively struggle with onboarding new players. Like those games also struggle massively with attracting a new audience.
Topic was pretty repetitive. Yeah, because it's so weird. Like we go through a load of things about putting cinematics and stuff back into the game, whether that's going to keep the audience for a long period of time, and then we end up like down a rabbit hole like immediately of whether the onboarding's good and what the onboarding's better in other games and other stuff like this. I feel like most of it, I tried to come up with some new thoughts, but it was hard. Yeah.
I think the difference...
And everyone's just having their go at saying basically the same thing, which is we need cinematics, right? This is insanity to say we don't need cinematics in order to bring people back in, but we also need good gameplay, right?
Really comes from a sentiment of betrayal. Because I think if you look at the player bases of League of Legends and Dota, like, they come and go all the time. Like, the players, they have, like, this huge player base, and obviously you're going to decline.
People are playing Rivals because of the lore and because it's easier? Yeah, obviously. That's why Rivals is popular. It's the lore, it's the advertising. They've got a lot of advertising budget. Remember, all the adverts you get on Reddit, they're still around. They've been consistent. Rivals has always been advertising. And then they got really easy onboarding into the game. You can play the game at a low level very, very simply. Now, if you're going to play the game for 10 hours a week, that's good. If you're going to play the game for 20 hours a week, it's going to get dry real fast.
Right, like people are going to get tired of your game. But people tend to like hop in and out. Everyone I know who plays League, who plays Dota, they have like phases where they'll be like, oh, I'm really into it again. They'll play it for like a month or two. They get back into it. They catch up on everything that's new. And then they get tired again. They're like, oh, whatever, I'm over it, right? Like I kind of get that picture again and I'm dipping back out. Or like something exciting happens, like a new event drops or a new skin drops and like I come back and then they leave. I think the vast majority of traffic is people who once have experienced the game and come in and out.
Voting,
I don't think, I could be wrong, I don't have any stats, this is pure hunch.
Heroes,
I don't think there's a huge influx of like new League players. Yes, people would have tried with Arcane.
Spyler, can you go back to sleep so I can put the blanket on you again, please?
I agree with that role. There would have been people try, but by and large, we're talking the same people. With Overwatch, those people don't come back because I feel like there's a sense of betrayal. There was like a schism. League and Dota never had like CSGO, even CS's CS2 controversy never caused the same schism that Overwatch had. Like it had so much goodwill.
It was a really long day for me and my eyes hurt. Yeah, I clicked onto your stream. You said at the start that you were tired.
Again, it's easy
I can tell how much you're trying
now, but we were there. I was there. When Overwatch had like the most goodwill of any game in the market, when Blizzard had the most goodwill of any company in the market, and then it was just like bad thing after bad thing after bad thing after bad thing. Right? It wasn't just one thing. It wasn't just like just the cancellation of PvE. The cancellation of PvE. Well, firstly, the PvE was announced when they had this whole Hong Kong controversy going with that Blitzchung, the Hearthstone streamer who Blizzard like mistreated. That the breast milk, Bobby fucking Kotick. Then they didn't actually announce that they'd canceled the PvE. They kind of half told everyone, half promised everyone. Then they announced that the PvE was coming. Then they canceled. So there was like so much.
Even up until recently, there was speculation on whether there would be more PvE coming out. Obviously, because their cycle was meant to be like a year and a half between PvE releases, right? So for like a year and a half after the first release, people are like, well, maybe they've just got another thing that they've done already to release at some point. Obviously, they haven't. I actually think it would be a bad decision to release something if they had done it, since it was taken so badly to ruin the reputation of your video game.
Goodwill was lost along the way, that where it normally would be traffic in and out is no longer coming. It's like people are like, I hate Overwatch. Like they physically, because people talk about that about League too, right? Like people will say League is a fucking crack cocaine addiction, but they're being kind of joking about it. They're being a little bit silly and facetious. People mean it when they say they fucking hate Overwatch. They're just like over it. They like genuinely felt a sense of betrayal, and I think that's this ineffable thing, because you can't even blame the current devs. As you guys are all saying, they're doing a great job. They're doing everything that most of the community
they're doing the best they can with Spaghetti Code that was half changed into a new game, then reformed into the game in a really short span of time for Overwatch 2, and then half of them got fired and replaced, so nobody knows what the code is. They're doing a great job with it, with that in mind.
And it's not working. Why? Because like those people just don't want to come back. They're just like something indescribable has been lost, and that's a real tragedy. Like it really hurts me. I have no ill will to Overwatch. It's a real tragedy, like genuinely one that's worth documenting. But I think that's where it is.
We still don't have weapon inspects. I could care less.
I think it's just like people don't want to come back.
I'd much rather have a dev working on the workshop features.
Yeah, there's gonna be no debate there. So
No, I mean, I want to expand on it just barely. I've met streamers from other games and
I think SVB should have moved on here. I don't think there's anything more to discuss.
now.
He
And
just
I mean,
delivered magnum opus. He should have changed the topic.
I've talked to them because sometimes they had Overwatch sponsorships. I'm like, what do you think? You play Rivals. Like, what do you think? And it's like, honestly, it's not a bad game. It's not terrible, but it just doesn't catch me as much anymore. But there's a common theme. Whenever anyone streams Overwatch and from another game, their chat goes ballistic. Ballistic. Every time. And it's like, why are you playing this dog shit piece of shit game? Like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
And
Of course.
it's sad. It genuinely is actually really sad. And
Big marketing push. Change back to Overwatch, right? That's what you need to do.
I
Change
don't
anything.
have an answer. And honestly, I feel very personally invested because I feel like hopefully it's not egotistical to say, I feel like I've had a lot of impact on how Overwatch has shaped itself in the last couple of years.
Mm.
And I feel like
Yes.
you're not always going to agree with me. Some people, obviously, we disagree on things. We're disagreeing on things right now. I can always go to bed at night saying I did my best. I can always go to bed thinking like, yeah, like, for better
Right,
or
this
for
is
worse.
wonderful.
I think
Can we talk
tried
about
to
something
push for the
interesting?
best
Is it safe to
changes.
skip to the next section? I've got about a 10-minute
And-
section here that I feel like we talked ourselves out over whether Overwatch will regain its former heights. Can I get some skips in chat?
Where we are now, I don't have many other ideas outside of like story, lore, anime, stuff like that. Like stuff we've talked about billions of times at this point. What else there could be? And I don't know if there is. Like if we're talking like you literally set me in like Aaron Keller's position. Fuck it. I guess I'm head of Microsoft because I don't even know if Aaron could do this.
It could be dangerous to skip. Dangerous? What do you mean?
Like you sit me down, like we're just gonna do a full relaunch of the game, basically. Like we literally just fuck it. Like we say like we're taking the game offline for 3 or 4 days and we're relaunching it. It's just Overwatch and like just sell it as a marketing fucking tag.
Fucking man, this guy.
The game is so much better now. It genuinely is. But like that's it. Like Overwatch 2 was its shot even after all the shit. And after that, like a lot of people, I can't even just today alone. I was streaming on YouTube, Twitch, and TikTok, and I cannot tell you how many people have asked me, "Is Overwatch worth coming back?" I don't know if I haven't played this game in a long time. And a lot of people are like, "Yeah, I don't think I'd still." Yeah, you say it's all right, but I still wouldn't. Or like, how long have loot boxes been back? Or like whatever it is. Like, you're just never gonna get them, I guess. And it is really really sad.
You're just ignoring the fact that there's loads of new players, right?
And I don't know if there is a fix. I'm mostly just
You're gonna
reiterating.
jump an hour and it's just gonna be Avril naked and covered in blood, screaming at the sky. Don't threaten me with a good time. I'm gonna pop the lid. I have a bottle of Pepsi. Do you know they changed the Pepsi recipe to have sweeteners in it, like the full fat Pepsi? It's really upsetting to me. I don't think it's the same sweeteners as Pepsi Max though. It tastes different. Right, both here.
When you said SVB, so I apologize for that.
No, it's a therapy session. We're back to
If
therapy.
you get the post mix Pepsi, like in Bugged, if you get the post mix Pepsi, it's actually the same as it was before. Pepsi makes my teeth feel soft.
It's a stigma. It really is a stigma.
Stigma?
But I also can't deny my own feelings of like I don't like playing tank in Overwatch 2. I genuinely despise it. And every time I come back, it makes me a little bit madder every single time.
And
my tolerance goes down slightly every
to the
single
open
time.
queue.
But if
It's almost like there's a very clear line of the problems in the video game.
I come back and play DPS and support, I have a fucking blast. And so like yeah, we sit here and we're like, yeah,
man.
turn,
Like this guy loved this game. This guy fucking adored it. Why can't he play Overwatch?
format's not the issue. I
The format's not there. I get fucked.
know for a fact it's not the issue. I'm 100% on board.
What are you on about?
Yeah, we sit here and we're like, yeah, format's not the issue. I know for a fact it's not the issue. I'm 100% on board. But like, I can't help but have that feeling every time I come back and I play it for a little while, and I'm like, yeah, that was fun. But I'm gonna play something else later.
What is this? What happened here?
And my tolerance goes down slightly every single time. But if I come back and play DPS and support, I have a fucking blast. And so like, yeah, we sit here and we're like, yeah, format's not the issue. I know for a fact it's not the issue. I'm 100% on board. But like, I can't help but have that feeling every time I come back and I play it for a little while.
What the fuck are you on about, Flats? Of course it's a fucking issue. You don't like playing tank in 5v5. You already said that 100 times. You don't like playing tank in Overwatch. You used to like it. Now you don't. There's something changed, and that change is a bad change.
Like, yeah, that was fun. But I'm going to play something else later. I'm going to play something else tomorrow. And like, it's sad because I think Overwatch is the best it's ever been.
What do you mean it's the best it's ever been? What does that mean? You don't like the video game. You don't enjoy Overwatch. It's bad for you as an experience. What are you talking about? I mean, you say, oh, I fucking hate this game. I hate playing tank in this game. I can never get into this game because only support and DPS are fun. It's the best it's ever been. There's no problems with the format. We have no issues.
But I can't, how do you ignore that feeling?
You don't ignore the feeling. You ask for them to change things that make that feeling.
You know.
Well, I'm gonna.
It's just the game's age, you know.
No, it's not.
Sorry,
It's the bad choices they've made, Spilo, that you have been a part of championing.
I'm super fast.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
He doesn't have a factual thing to say why he's not enjoying it. Whatever he tries to analyze it, he's probably like, it doesn't make sense. Why am I feeling like this? Yeah, it seems like some sort of cognitive dissonance, genuinely, with Flats. I don't know if anyone else disagrees, but it definitely seems like he thinks that he's the problem, instead of there being something different about Tank. But he's had so many situations where he literally made the argument that he doesn't like 5v5 Tank. Like, he explicitly says he doesn't like 5v5 Tank earlier, and now he's like, well, the format's not the issue. What do you mean the format's not the issue? Like, you just said that earlier. He seems like he wants to fence it on the format for some reason, despite the fact that he just pretty much just said it. So I don't know what's happening here. Obviously, burnout plays a big role for his personal enjoyment. Obviously. I don't know. I think that not being able to offline and just go in and play a game of Reinhardt and enjoy it is the problem. Didn't he also say he feels it's bad in 6v6 too? But we all know his 6v6. His 6v6 was clocking into the game, playing 5 minutes, complaining about it because he burnt out, and then turning off. He hasn't played the 6v6. He doesn't consider it to be competitive because of OpenQ, and that's why he doesn't play it, I thought was the point. Not that he doesn't feel better in 6v6, but because he doesn't consider it to be a supported format in the video game. Like, let's be honest, we don't consider it to be a supported format in the video game. I always have thoughts like, I want to grind ladder, but I don't want to play 5v5, and 6v6 isn't really something people care about because it's not competitive enough. And it, like, the devs clearly don't care about it. So what should I do? Should I grind up to Masters on 6v6? Well, there's no fucking point, because once you get to Masters, you're going to have like 50-minute queues anyway, so like, why would I do that? Should I do it in 5v5? Oh shit, a hazard just jumped at me from across the map and insta-killed me, so I guess I won't do that. I mean,
Yeah, I think a lot of it's just the game's age as well. You know, people were burned out right at the point in time when you've been playing the game for 4 or 5 years.
No, I don't think it's that. I think it's the changes they made to the game. Flat said about when he started getting burnt out, he said there's a couple of other people I talked to, they're all having the same issues, right? I don't consider multiple people being burned out at the same... Sure, they've been playing for the same amount of time. They're probably all burned out, don't get me wrong, but they're feeling bad about the game. I would say it's more to do with the game than them.
It's like, you're going to be hit right in the face with every bad decision, every crappy meta that the game has ever had, Flats. I mean, to be honest with you, I've been around this game just as long as you have. And
I like OpenQ. The queues are nice. I get 95% of my games are 2-2-2 anyway. Plus, it's nice being able to swap to a different role if we need something else, but that's probably a minority take. Yeah, no, I think I agree in a broad sense with that. I do think like OpenQ has gone a long way to delegitimizing the format in most people's minds, because so many people think opposite. The simple fact is, OpenQ is literally just 2-2-2, but with an option of somebody swapping to support. That's it. With triple support comps. Everything else is degenerate. Nobody really wants it, but nobody really plays it either. So it's not really causing massive problems for me in terms of my enjoyment. I feel like my team doesn't actually try when I play comp. I feel like my team put in effort. Yes. Could be. As you say, like, a format needs constant support, and you can only really have one proper competitive format in a video game, in my opinion. If you have two, one overtakes the other and eclipses it, because the people that are competitive about the game will congregate due to wanting the legitimacy of that more looked at format, because people at the end of the day are ranking up to say they've done this thing in this video game. It's the whole OpenQ previously thing where it was 5v5 OpenQ, like, oh, you're a top 500 5v5 OpenQ player. Who gives a shit, right?
You've probably played the game twice as many hours as I have, if not more. You know, it's just the nature of like the type of content that you do. And it's like, I look at some of these old Overwatch streamers that are doing Rivals now, and I'm like, those guys have been grinding Overwatch day in, day out for half a decade, you know? I mean, I remember when Jay was playing on his Jesus account 2018 in Grandmaster. I remember queuing up in him, and he was crappy on Tracer then, he's crappy on Tracer now. Love you, Jay. But and like, man, that like, I was playing at the Grandmaster level then, and I was playing like 2 or 3 hours a day. That guy was putting in at least double my hours, you know what I'm saying? And never stop. No coaching side notes, no content analysis, no 1 hour long game design discussions, like, you know, whatever.
Yeah, you just raw dog in the video game, just actually playing. I never do that. People would riot.
I've survived, I guess, due to the variety of what I've done, but I can't imagine being in y'all's position and having to deal with that like day in, day out. And I think there's something to be said about, is it the term event horizon? Is that like the start of something? I feel like I'm misusing that term. of like a new game coming out and being on the cusp of
Spilo, do you want the astronomy lesson?
like the excitement and the hype of that game with Rivals, like you were saying, Flats. Like there's something to be said about how much fun that is, you know, like being part of like a cultural phenomena. It really does feel like, oh, you're with Overwatch all over again. So like, it doesn't matter how good Overwatch is, it's just been around for a long time. It's
I don't
not
think that's
going
true. I think there's real things in the game that makes the game worse.
to be a cultural phenomena, and so it's not going to have the same excitement value. So I think Overwatch can continue to be relevant and should continue to try to be relevant, but obviously I think any game should always measure its expectations.